The Concerns of Police Survivors Truck Series takes on Rockingham here tonight in the Millie's Restaurant and Catering 200 presented by Nazareth Racing. Hello, my name is William Tiller and I am joined by the always excited Jake Reeves, and Adam Flieger is the man providing you all those wonderful pictures. Here tonight, folks, we are going from road course racing where we saw absolute dominance there with Mike Sargent winning by over 10 seconds. Before that, though, we started to see that animal grow into the fierce competitor he is. Here tonight, it's going old school racing with Rockingham, Jake. What are we expecting here tonight in this race?
Well, honestly, Will and everybody at home, this is when you're going to really separate yourself from the pack, if you will. I mean, Rockingham, North Carolina Speedway is one of those tracks that is just, it's a blast to race at this facility. It's absolutely a blast. 1 mile in length. I mean, you can't say nothing else. I mean, you want to talk about some history and tradition. This track has got that history and tradition, but with it being 1 mile, and Will, we was talking about this before the broadcast this evening. This track, like I said, 1 mile. I classify this track as somewhat of a short track, if you will. And with some of the feuds that we have been seeing here in the past, it's hard to ignore those. It's hard to ignore them actually, but especially here at Rockingham, you might see some favors get repaid going into this race tonight. But besides that, this track right here is going to be really abrasive on the tires. So the way I look at it, whoever's able to get out there, save their tires as much as they can on the long runs, they're going to have the best shot to win the race here tonight.
Absolutely. As we were just checking out those point standings here and the concerns of Police Survivors Truck Series, let's talk about the format of tonight's race before we get to that starting grid. Stage number one's going to have 40 laps. Stage number two, we're going to go to 125. Stage number three in the end of the race is going to come on lap 200. 5 sets of tires here tonight with a 75% fuel capacity. No fast repairs. That's my personal favorite rule here in Nazareth. And of course, 3 attempts at that green, white checkered. But as always, here on this Friday night series, we like to award some hardware before we kick things off, Jake, and that's going to be our Hard Luck Award winner provided by Farm Paint Shops, and that's going to go to Ashley Dotson from the road course last week, Jake, a man who's now a 2-time winner of that award.
Absolutely. I mean, won it back at the Milwaukee Mile, I believe it was, and now here he is with it after the road course. Granted, he had a very very good run going last Friday night, and then just straight up ran out of gas. Basically, coming through the last bus stop, coming to the entrance of pit road, and basically had to put the clutch in and coast all the way. Lost numerous spots. Ashley Dodson, hate it for him, but he is the Hard Luck Award winner
Well,
from last week.
let's see how he fares here tonight. He'll start on the front row with Michael McKinnon, who will get the pole for tonight's race at Rockingham. In row number 2, we have Adam Newton and Jeff Merck. Row number 3, Robbie Richards and Joey Doucette. Row number 4, Kyle Hess and Jose Luis Rivera. And rounding out our top 10, we have Taylor Peacock and Steven Thomas.
Yep, Hunter Parsons is going to be 11th. Dana Shepard needs to have a very, very good run this evening. He will start on the outside of row number 6 in 12th. Justin Lumpkin will be 13th. Cody Knott will be 14th. Got Jacob Klinkart in 15th with Ed Osborne in 16th. Got Jeffrey Sickles 17th. Zach Hartwick in 18th. We got Chris Cinnamon, which is very uncharacteristic to see Mr. Cinnamon back here way deep in the field, but he will start this race from the 19th spot, and rounding out the top 20 is going to be the 00 of Huck Wigington.
Yeah, then we look at Raul Meza in that 21st position. Justin White, that's a curious starting spot for that 2 machine as well. Phil Pappas will roll off 23rd, Adam Johnson 24th, Chris Blanchard 25th, Keith Bradley 26th, and Brandon Bullock will round out our field here tonight. And Jake, I think you touched on it a little bit. There's going to be some drivers serving some penalties. I think they've already served a couple of them. No qualifying runs for about 4 drivers coming off of last week's race.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it was, and they was just incidents that had happened. Christopher Blanchard had his incident with Jason Morales, and then obviously the big talk, not to take anything away from Sargent, who won last week at the Daytona Road Course, but the big story, also besides Ashley Dodson running out of gas, was Keith Bradley and Blake Lothian having their little spat, and both of them having to serve penalties during the race. Lothian not here this evening. Bradley is, and Bradley has to take an EOL as well as no qualifying here this evening.
Well, let's see how all those storylines play out as the field is rumbling and stumbling here at the Rock. As right now, Michael McKinnon takes us down to corner number 1.
McKinnon on the bottom, and Ashley Dodson stuck up on the top side. Actually almost brushes the fence coming off of turn number 2. Hard Luck Award winner 2 times this season, trying to see if he can brush it all off, as he's going to get a great run off of 4. Actually, he's going to get in the fence and go hard into the fence.
Oh no! Oh, hard impact for the 88 here on the first lap. And Jake, just as you were talking about his run this season, he makes contact there with the top side wall, thought he had it there for a minute, and then touched it even harder. And that's going to be very difficult to overcome here the rest of the way.
Honestly, Will, you would think that, but with this track right here, honestly, 1 mile in length in a 200 lap race, don't really think it's going to be that bad, because granted, this track is not like Daytona where we ran at Monday night. This track not really worried about air. As I mentioned, this track is got that short track feel, if you will. So you just got to worry about, not worried about that. You just got to worry about saving your tires. Actually, if he's going to have this little bit of a problem, it's a good thing that it happened this early in the race, because you got stage breaks, you got cautions, all that good stuff, where he can get himself back into this race.
Yeah, pretty calm in the race so far here. 4 laps into the Millie's Restaurant and Catering 200. You see Ashley Dodson. Oh, more contact off of that corner. And we're watching here early on in this race. That was Robbie Richards who just made acquaintance with that turn 4 corner. And what is it about that corner there, Jake? It looks a little different as the caution flag is out. The 26 machine of Cody Knott has some issues on the racetrack.
Yeah, and they were getting stacked up right here behind Ashley Dodson. Actually, Stephen Thomas, I believe, was stuck up on the top side. Might have got in the wall just a little bit, but it stacked everybody up with both of them. Ashley Dodson slipping back, Stephen Thomas slipping back. Cody Knott's coming with a full head of steam. Got some guys behind him with Lumpkin and Dana Shepard, and he just straight up just drives it in way too hard, thinking that they're going to be able. I mean, we tried to find a hole. He tried to get right smack dab in the middle. He wasn't able to do it. Tagged Stephen Thomas a little bit in the left rear, then locked it down. Good job by everybody behind him, not getting caught up. Shepard, he gets a little bit of contact right there, but Cody Knott, as far as everybody else, is able to steer clear away from him.
First caution of the night here, and that's our on the pole instant replay here in the Concerns of Police Survivors Truck Series. And we're watching early on here, and I kind of asked you there right before that caution flag flew, what is it about the exit of turn 4 that these drivers have to watch out for?
Well, I mean, they got one. I mean, it's not only turn 4. Well, I mean, turn 2 is abrasive as well. I mean, Ashley's up there on the top side, and you can make some hay on the top side here at Rockingham. It is actually preferred faster to run the middle, or the middle to the top side, to get the best lap times. But the thing about it is you're burning your tires up more. You know, the faster you're going, the faster you're burning those tires up. The slower you are, the more you're saving your tires. So the wall does kind of jump out and kind of bite you just a little bit as you're actually riding on board with Kyle Hess. We'll actually take a look at it as they're coming off of 4 right here. Very, very bumpy Rockingham is, and when they come right here off of the corner, the wall, it kind of seems like it kind of narrows up just a little bit. I mean, granted, it's not narrowing up, but it does seem like it's narrowing up just a little bit, and that wall will come out and bite you, and that turn 2 wall will absolutely come out and bite you, especially if you're trying to run the top.
Exactly, and you know, we're looking at the past couple weeks leading up to this race here tonight, and Of course, you touched on it, Jake. We went road course racing where Mike Sargent put on an absolute dominant performance. But before that, you started to see Keith Bradley hit that stride in the 29, winning a couple races there in a span of 3 races. And then, of course, road courses really throws a wrench in everything. You know, this Friday night series is a lot different than the Monday night series. And I say that because, Jake, we've had multiple different winners this season. Yeah, Keith Bradley's won twice. But the rest of this season, it's been a different guy in victory lane the rest of the way.
Absolutely, and you got guys that honestly, Will, I mean, we didn't even have picked to get a win, much less this early in the season. First one that comes to mind is Phil Pappas. I mean, to me, honestly, or is Phil Pappas, because you could say Jeff Merck. You could say Jeff Merck, but Merck has been running up front constantly every single week. Phil Pappas, he's just popped out of nowhere at Milwaukee. I mean, granted, he was the underdog at Milwaukee. He gets to win. Jeff Merck able to get a win as well. So, and then a couple of other drivers, Jason Morales, who got the win at Daytona, which was a crazy finish. Thought Kyle Hess was going to get that bad boy, but was not able to get it. So, yes, I mean, we've seen a lot of different winners, if you will, here on the Friday night series, and that's what stands different from the Friday night series to the Monday night series.
As we cruise up to 3 and 4 here, we await the drop of the green flag after our first caution of the night here in the Concerns of Police Survivors Truck Series. I want to thank everybody for tuning in here tonight to the Nazareth 360 Racing Network. It's myself, William Tiller, Jake Reeves, and Adam Flieger on the call here tonight. Pace lights are off of the pace truck. He pulls off. Michael McKinnon will put that thing into drive, and we are rocking and rolling once again from the rock into corner number 1.
Michael McKinnon, he's been up front the whole time. He's trying to keep it up here, but check it out. Here comes the rookie, Jeff Merck, all the way down to the bottom. McKinnon all the way to the top, and Merck will take the lead over Michael McKinnon, our pole sitter, right behind him. It is a dogfight, if you will, with Adam Newton, Joey Doucette, Taylor Peacock, and Kyle Hess trying to peek his nose up in there as well to try to crack inside the top 5.
Pretty clean start to this run right now. Is still trying to get that lead from Jeff Merck. You just talked about that 60. He's one of those rookies run very strong in both the Monday night and Friday night series. He takes us into 3 and 4 as our race leader. Check in with Adam Newton and Joey Doucette right behind them. Both those drivers had pretty good runs going at the road course last week when unfortunate events just sent their night south. But you see it, you have a mix of lines so far here in this race, Jake. A little bit of that mid zone and that low line to start off.
Absolutely, and that's key for some of these guys. You're actually seeing right now Jeff Merck and Michael McKinnon running up in that middle lane. Like I mentioned earlier, that is the faster line, but that faster line, like I mentioned, is going to make you burn your tires up. It's actually Merck's going to go way up, actually goes almost all the way into the fence. And here comes Joey Doucette, running the bottom all the way around here at Rockingham, keeping it smack dab on the bottom. He's starting to put some pressure on Michael McKinnon, and don't count out Adam Newton, as we was talking about him just a second ago, closing in on Joey Doucette for third.
Yeah, we headed into 1 and 2 right now, and you can see those trucks bouncing along if you're watching along with us here on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network. Taylor Peacock at 81 trying to get around Adam Newton into 3 and 4. But coming out of 4, still the 60 of Jeff Merck, who prefers the high side in the corner, Jacob, and cross that start finish line.
Joey Doucette may have made Michael McKinnon's eyes get a little bit wide as they was coming off of turn number 2. As Doucette took a look to the inside. Now this time he will not make it work. Fall back in line. Front 3 trucks still trying to pull away as Adam Newton has got a rear view mirror full of Taylor Peacock, Kyle Hess, and Hunter Parsons getting up here in the mix.
Whoa, as you see a little bit of a wiggle out of the 81 machine. He's starting to lose pace from the back bumper of the 82 of Adam Newton. There goes Joey Doucette to the inside of Michael McKinnon. We have a battle for a second around the corner here, down the back. Ooh, things got a little bit too testy between those two. Big pull away from the 16 and the 13 of Michael McKinnon. They're going to separate. They're going to take their timeouts as we're off of 4, across that start-finish line into 1. Jeff Merck still leads.
Very, very tight right there off of turn number 2, and Doucette's going to see if he can play with it just a little bit more. Gets to the left rear of Michael McKinnon, but McKinnon able to get the run off of 2 and be able to get clear as we have a caution
Caution.
on the speedway.
Caution flag is out. Only our second caution of the night here. And it looks, as we're looking through the field, there's some drivers, and that's Phil Pappas right there. The driver you were talking about, Jake. It looks like he has some racing stripes. We're all assuming this before we check out the on-the-pole instant replay. And here it comes, Jake. Looks like Phil Pappas is going to be in some trouble.
Yeah, and he's an innocent bystander of what was going on. It actually started with Justin White. Looked like Justin White may have got a little bit loose going into turn number 1. From what I'm seeing right here, actually, no, Pappas just drives straight into the back of him, jacks Justin White up, and then they actually go 3 wide. You'll see it right here on your screen as we get the live feed going right here. But wow, I mean, it's a big time deal right here. As you're gonna see it right here, Pappas drives in, slams straight into Justin White. Now Pappas is stuck up on the top, and down on the bottom, actually Brandon Bullock, as you're gonna see, jumps into your screen right here. He comes up, he runs it all the way down to the apron, tries to get around both of them, get him a twofer, if you will, but then ends up driving straight up into Justin White. And Phil Pappas gets the short end of the stick along with Justin White.
And we talked about Justin White in that too, and it's just going to be something here tonight. And again, we're checking out that on the pole instant replay. And I think between the bounciness here tonight, Jake, the looseness of the trucks, we're going to start to see these trucks get loose. We're not even halfway through this first stage yet, just about, I'd say about 18 laps, 19 laps in. But it's just going to be something we're going to see. These drivers are going to try to make passes. The trucks are going to bounce on them. You're going to get sideways. You're going to make contact. And unfortunately for these guys here tonight, that's going to be heavy damage to Phil Pappas there, especially rear end. I mean, these guys' nights are going to end early, but for these other guys that are going to stay in the hunt, you really got to watch out for some of those things as this race plays out.
Well, and this track will actually, if you compare it to a certain track, not by the surface or how it's laid out, but I compare this track actually to Bristol to a certain point.
Okay.
And that's going to actually raise some eyebrows to the viewers, but the way I'm looking at it is this track is very, very frustrating. You're going to have guys that are going to burn their tires up early on in the run, and you're going to have guys that's going to lay back just a little bit, save their tires, and then try to get back up there and try to get around them. But as tight as this track is, and as much moving around is going on, it's hard to make passes here at Rockingham, and that's the same thing that I compare it with Bristol. But the reason that I'm comparing it with Bristol is tempers will flare, and we've seen them happen at Bristol. We're going to see them here tonight at Rockingham, especially with how these guys all over the place trying to drive their tails off, trying to get to the front. And then you got to put up with the other 20-odd drivers that's out here as well. It just makes that temper, it just makes that mental, it just drives you absolutely insane.
No, and I absolutely agree with you, Jake, and I think it just goes to show the competitiveness here week in and week out, whether it's in the Monday night series, Friday night series here at Nazareth. We have our King of Daytona that's coming up. And folks, if you want more information about what Nazareth does or anything that's coming down the pipeline, we invite you to go check us out on Facebook at Nazareth Racing. We also have an X, formerly known as Twitter page as well. If you're watching along with us here on YouTube, you've already found us on there. Go ahead and like this video, share this video with all your friends. And Jake, you know, we just had our Monday night playoff series kind of come to fruition there. We saw Chris Blanchard win that race, but came up short to actually make the playoffs. So that's how tight each one of these races are.
Absolutely, and you know, I was actually in that race, and I've been kind of kicking myself in that race because I actually slipped up a little bit on the start and actually let Blanchard jump up into that top lane. He was able to get rolling, if you will, able to get the race win. So I probably would have had a better shot to win that one, but that was Monday night. This is Friday night. Green flag is in the air. Jeff Merrick takes him off into turn 1. Michael McKinnon under fire right now from Joey Doucette, Adam Newton, and check out Kyle Hess back here battling with Taylor Peacock and Robbie Richards.
And the words of Limp Bizkit right now, Jeff Merck is rolling around this track. He is separated from the rest of the field all by himself here on this restart. Michael McKinnon, he's trying to separate there from Adam Newton, Joey Doucette, Taylor Peacock, Kyle Hess right there, Robbie Richards, but boy, is that a hornet's nest, and there it goes! It stings Joey Doucette. He goes into the top side wall. We're still okay though, Jake, as we come off the floor.
Still green here at Rockingham, but boy, it got tight in a hurry on the backstretch, and you got to think about Joey Doucette having to go through that right there. How bad is that right front? Messed up on that number 16 entry. The Joker is not laughing right here at Rockingham after that little bit of incident this early in a 200-lap race.
It's like your favorite pair of pants that all of a sudden got tight out of the dryer there, Jake. You got to deal with it though, because they're your favorite pants. You gotta keep wearing them. You gotta keep in the fight for Joey Doucette. He went almost 90 degrees into that wall. He finds himself only one position less than what he did. So although it's tight up there at the top of the racetrack, he's still moving and grooving as the Joker does.
Absolutely, but I mean, we're seeing Hunter Parsons right up his tailgate, literally pushing him along, if you will, not literally touching him, but literally just basically moving him in his mirror. I mean, basically he's trying to rush Joey Doucette to try to get up here and get going. Though obviously there may be some type of damage, mechanical, obviously, of hitting the wall. But Doucette's still able to hold on to 6th right now, just outside the top 5, as here comes Hunter Parsons, takes a look to the inside, does think better of it, drops back in line. But I'm telling you, Jeff Burke has really opened this bad boy up to over a second over Michael McKinnon.
Yeah, and I think I just heard the low faints of a lion's roar or a beast call, because I think the animal just cracked inside the top 10. He is moving up through the field of 15 spots from the drop of the green flag. Keith Bradley in that 29 had to serve a penalty to start off this race. No qualifying. EOL, big time stuff from Nazareth from an incident between him and Blake Lothian last week. But you see right now that 29 is on a mission. He's got Kyle Hess in his sights here into the corner.
He is rolling right now, like you said, up 15 now, put that 16 spots as he gets around Jacob Klinkhardt. So Bradley really starting to make some moves as here he goes down to the inside. Hess up top. Bradley trying to get the run down on the bottom, see if he can clear him as much as he can. Very tight coming off of turn number 2. Keith Bradley able to advance one more spot and get himself up to 8. Do not count out this 29. We do not count him out every single week. This man right here, this is the reason why Mission 1 Esports picked him up, as he is our previous champion from last season. So do not count out this 29. I mean, hell, he could have started 27, and he's still got good odds to win the race. If not that, at least get a top 5 at the end of the night.
Yeah, he's trying to advance another position out to the inside of the 25, 100 Parsons. I want to ask you now, with 9 laps to go here in this stage, a fairly short stage here of 40 laps, what do you learn from such a short stage when you have to go to 125 for stage number 2?
Depends on how fast you've been driving. It depends on if you burn your tires up. Well, honestly, I mean, if you burn them tires up and that's basically what they're learning right here in this first stage, is how hard they can drive the truck. How far can they push that truck around here at Rockingham? Because as I mentioned, this place is very, very abrasive on the tires. You can wear your tires out very, very quickly, because we've actually seen pace fall off at over a second right now, with Jeff Merck running a 24.575. He qualified with a 23.8, and in practice they was hitting 6s and 4s and all that crazy stuff. So obviously a second already fell off. That's just how this track is. That's what I think these drivers are trying to learn here in this first stage, is how hard can I push it. And I'll say this, Keith Bradley, he's not worried about pushing that truck. He has been driving his tail off just to get up here and get some stage points. And then maybe that second stage, he'll try to learn where he can put his truck at that point.
Yeah, we're watching this battle, though, between Michael McKinnon and Adam Newton that keeps raging on, as we're going to keep an eye out on Keith Bradley, who just came into the shot here on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network. Michael McKinnon, Adam Newton battling it out for a second there. Keith Bradley's now slowly creeping inside the top 5. But you see Adam Newton, he's just on the back bumper of Michael McKinnon. You just talked about it, Jake, of pushing this truck here in the first stage. How long as a driver can you keep this battle going on here in this first stage?
It depends on how long you've been following, and it depends on how long you've been following, and it depends on how short your fuse is. To be honest with you, you see Newton obviously way faster than Michael McKinnon.
He might have it.
All the way down to the bottom right here. He's going to go all the way down to the yellow line. Go side by side with McKinnon. McKinnon up top, Newton on the bottom. Watch turn 2. It gets tight over here as McKinnon will lift out of the gas. Let Adam Newton jump in front of him. So take Adam Newton up to the second spot.
Yeah, and shout out to our Adam Flieger. Wonderful camera angles there. Saw the entire battle for position, breakdown for breakdown, in-car cameras, drone shots, everything. We saw that positional battle to a T. And now here comes Taylor Peacock in that 81. He wants to finish strong here in this stage. He's creeping up on Michael McKinnon, who's starting to fade just a little bit here early on this race.
Yeah, and how about Robbie Richards back there? Good run for him. This early in the race, started 5th, up to 5th, but Taylor Peacock, he started 9th, he's up to 4th. He's putting a lot of pressure right now on Michael McKinnon as both of them think the same way. Both of them jump up to the top, try to cut it back down on the bottom. Peacock gets the run straight up his tailgate as they go into 3. McKinnon still got it right now, but Peacock jumps down to the bottom, see if he can get the run off of 4 and complete the pass, try to move himself up into 3rd.
Keeps trying to put that nose to the inside here with 2 laps to go in stage number 1. Oh my goodness, is a 13 checked up very late there into the corner. The 81 of Taylor Peacock now has the inside run as there's almost contact off of 2. Man, that battle is raging on for 3rd between Taylor Peacock and Michael McKinnon. I believe that battle is still going on back there as we cross the line. 1 to go here in stage number 1.
And while all that was going on, Adam Newton, who got around Michael McKinnon, has reeled in Jeff Merck right up his back bumper, 0.2 of a second. White flag here in stage number 1 as Newton has run him down, but I think he may have run out of time to get the stage win as Jeff Merck is able to pick it up. Merck will get stage 1 here in this race with Adam Newton going to be 2nd. Michael McKinnon able to hold off Taylor Peacock for that 3rd spot. Peacock gets 4th. Rounding out the top 5 right here is Robbie Richards in stage 1.
Yeah, and then you look at Joey Doucette. He's going to finish that stage in 6th. Keith Bradley, we talked about his rise so far this race, going to finish 7th. Kyle Hess 8th, Hunter Parsons 9th, and Chris Cinnamon, who's currently on top of those power rankings here in the Concerns of Police Survivors Truck Series. He's going to round out our top 10. But let's get right to it. Let's try to talk with our stage number 1 winner here tonight. Jake, that's Chef Merck in that 60, coming off some big performances. You know, tonight the 60 machine wins stage number 1 here tonight, and we're joined now by Jeff Merck. And Jeff, you really put on a show there in stage 1.
Yeah, I almost went too hard too soon. I knew with that last caution, we was on a short run, but Adam, he was reeling me in there. A couple more laps, he'd have had me. So I timed it just right.
And looking at this dominant performance here tonight, of course, the road course last week, you kind of crumple that one, throw it out. Other than that, these runs so far this season, Jeff, have been pretty good behind the wheel of that 60. How do you keep this going here tonight? How do you strategize with your teammates?
It's hard to say. You just kind of got to drive it and take what the race gives you, really, and strategize off of that. You know, the best laid plans always blow up in your face if you try to do it too far in advance. So I always just run the race and take it as it comes.
Alrighty, and before we let you go, my man, anybody you wanted to shout out or anybody you wanted to thank for that stage 1 victory?
Yeah, my loving wife inside, she let me come out here a little early and do a little practice, do a couple long runs there, so big shout out to her.
Alrighty, Jeff, we'll get back to it, man. Good luck the rest of the way, and I'm sure we'll talk to you in victory lane here soon.
All right, man, thanks.
That was Jeff Merck, the driver of the number 60 machine, and Jake, he continues this here tonight. It's going to be hard to beat him.
Yeah, I mean he was really rolling right there as you was mentioning with the Limp Biscuit deal. He was literally rolling right there in stage one, but Adam Newton was really closing in on him right there. Honestly, I mean, well, I think if it would have went maybe another 5 laps right there, Newton was going to be able to get around Jeff Merrick one way or another and get that stage one win right there. So I think Merck might have burned his tires up right there going through that stage one, and we've actually seen Adam Newton. We've seen what he did right there. He was able to save his stuff, so no, that's the key right there. That's the key that you're going to see here tonight is who can save their tires and be there at the end. That's the key that we're going to have to be watching for here tonight.
It's going to be a big run now to lap 125, and I wanted to ask you too before this green flag drops, what are going to be some of the differences that we're going to see here in stage 2 that we didn't see in stage 1 with so many extra laps here to the stage?
Well, I mean, honestly, I think you're going to see a lot of drivers probably saving right here, honestly. Like I said, saving the tires with a longer stage. They want to be able to make it as far as they possibly can. That way, you know, they'll have something for them at the end. So I would expect, you know, you might see some guys really push hard right here at the start. But I think those guys that push hard, they've either got a golden horseshoe stuck in the back of that truck, or they're just going to burn them up and they're just going to come straight to the back. So that's what I think you're going to see a lot of if this sucker goes green in stage 2. Is a lot of drivers, they're not going to be pushing their trucks that much. They're just going to be trying to save for later on in the run.
A new top 10 as we creep up towards the drop of that green flag. We have Jeff Merck at the top, Adam Newton, Taylor Peacock, Robbie Richards, Joey Doucette, Michael McKinnon, Kyle Hess, Keith Bradley, Hunter Parsons, and Chris Cinnamon will be our top 10 to the drop of the green flag here. We're going to kick off stage number 2 of the Millie's Restaurant and Catering 200. We saw Jeff Merck roll his way to victory. Let's see if he gets it done again as he's crossed that start-finish line into corner number 1.
Newton on the top, Peacock down on the bottom. That is the battle for second. Newton gets a little bit loose up there at the top. Peacock's going to be able to get by. Here comes Robbie Richards, going to see if he can gamble and jump it down into third spot, but Newton able to get the run right here in 3 and 4. So Newton's still going to hold on to it, or maybe not. Here comes Robbie Richards, tries to take a look down to the inside. And here comes the Joker, Joey Doucette. He might have not have had as much damage as we thought, but he got into the fence on the back stretch. So Doucette still got some speed in that number 16 entry.
Throw some duct tape on it, keep it moving, but right now Taylor Peacock is trying to fly his way to the top, to the inside. And Jeff Merck off of 4 here down the front stretch, but you see the wiggle out of the other trucks there, just out of sight. This battle for the lead still raging on as you see the 29 machine of Keith Bradley. He's now in the mix, trying to make it 3 wide for 4th. Oh no! As the Newton's in the wall, Robbie Richards makes contact. Oh no! Makes contact with Keith Bradley as well. Caution flag is in the air here at Rockingham. Huge pile up here, Jake.
Huge pile up. Looked like Daytona Monday night as Robbie Richards tried to see if he could sneak it up to the top side right there. See if he could catch Adam Newton slipping. You're going to see it right here on the pole instant replay. Peacock and Merck battling their tails off up front. And then, wow, actually Peacock gets a little loose down on the bottom. Newton tried to jump up to the top. You'll see it right here as Peacock's right on the bottom of the racetrack. Merck up top. You got Richards and Bradley right there on the outside. Then you got Newton and Doucette on the bottom. And watch what happens right here. Peacock, he's going to get a little bit loose. Newton tries to dart it straight up to try to miss Taylor Peacock. And by the time he does that, Robbie Richards is already there. Gets him right in the right rear. Bradley able to barely sneak by it, but then here comes Newton back down the track.
Oh.
Right into the right rear, gets back into Keith Bradley. Here's Michael McKinnon. He gets involved. And then after all of it pans out, all this is happening right smack dab in front of the field. There goes Chris Cinnamon into the fence as well. But right in front of the whole field, everybody just comes washing straight into every bit of this.
And you see, the 42 machine or the 12 machine is going to be involved in that. Raul Meza is going to be involved. He's going to take heavy damage. Philip Pappas, you see in the shot there. See the 42 of Ed Osborne. I mean, a lot of trucks in this situation. And what I really want to see as we watch that in full speed is the cockpit view of maybe Robbie Richards. I think I want to ride on board with that 48 machine to see what was his insight of watching that 16 or the 81 of Taylor Peacock get loose. What was his reaction to that really caused all these dominoes to fall?
His reaction was just, why? I mean, honestly, but from his standpoint, we'll see it right here. I mean, granted, he sees it right here, going right here. His first mindset, he was just trying to get the run, just try to get around Newton. But everything happened so quick. Well, I mean, it happened so quick here at Rockingham. He made a move, and then Newton, the Peacock got loose. Newton made a move. Richards was already there. Richards was 100% committed on the top to just go right there because he thought Newton was going to stay on the bottom. Peacock gets loose. Newton jumps up. Richards already there, and chaos ensues.
But you see, and Jake, I think you touched on it perfectly there. You see how fast the action is. You have a split-second decision. As you saw, Adam Newton kind of crept up to the left. You're on the high side of the racetrack. Is a little bit of contact between the guys in front of you. You're really locked in that spot, nowhere to go on the racetrack. And unfortunately for a lot of those guys that were running inside the top 10, that might be race-changing damage to those trucks.
Absolutely, and folks, that was just nothing but a 100% racing incident. Obviously, nothing intentional of what was going on. Newton reacted to what Peacock did, and then by the time Newton reacted, Robbie just didn't have enough time. I mean, that's just how quick this happens right here. Robbie just didn't have enough time to get out of the gas. I'm sure he did, or I'm sure he at least tried to, but it just happened so quick. I mean, it's like blinking your eyes, folks. I mean, if you want to see how quick this happens, just sit right in your chair, or your sim rig, or on the bed for all that matter. I mean, wherever you're at, just blink your eyes, because that's how quick stuff is happening here in the C.O.P.S Truck Series here at Rockingham. That's just how quick stuff is just happening. It's like snapping fingers. That's how quick it is.
Absolutely, and right now as we come around 3 and 4, new top 10 for the folks at home. Jeff Merck will still be in that top spot. Taylor Peacock in second. Joey Doucette third. Robbie Richards fourth. Hunter Parsons. Justin Lumpkin. Jose Luis Rivera. Phil Pappas now inside the top 10. Dana Shepard as well in that 45. And Jacob Klinkart will round out our top 10 as once again, Jeff Merck takes us to the start-finish line and the green flag is in the air down to 1.
Merck gets a great jump, and check it out. Doucette gets one as well. Peacock, not a very good start, stacks up the outside lane. Doucette's going to be able to get by as they barely make contact. Peacock going to slip back a little bit. Check it out. Hunter Parsons in the 25. He's going to try to see if he can dump it on the inside and try to get around Peacock for that third spot.
Those things are getting very scrappy on the racetrack here across that start-finish line. Hunter Parsons to the inside of Taylor Peacock. Robbie Richards there on the low side trying to follow that 25 along. You see Justin Lumpkin. He's in the mix as well as we have another truck into the top side wall off of 2. No damage done, though. We're still moving and grooving off of 4.
Wow, moving and grooving. You called it right there, Will. I mean, Hunter Parsons trying to keep it going up here. Almost got into Justin Lumpkin just a second ago. Lumpkin drives it in very, very deep. Almost gets into the back of Hunter Parsons. Parsons able to keep it going, keep it in that 4th spot. Lumpkin trying to get around Robbie Richards as he will. Now Richards going to drop back in line. Klinkhart's going to be there. And check out Jose Luis Rivera. Haven't talked about him much here this evening. Here he is inside the top 80s. Here he goes to the inside of Jacob Klinkart going into 1.
Yeah, Jose Luis Rivera there to the inside of Klinkart as you see these trucks now starting to slide up the racetrack just a little bit. You see a couple of them try to get down to the low side, but here we go, a battle for the lead. Joey Doucette keeps looking to the inside of Jeff Merck here on lap 56. The Joker wants to rule Gotham here tonight at the Rock. He has a run off of 4. He'll go door to door with Jeff Merck into 1 and 2.
He wasn't laughing a couple of laps ago when he got put in the fence on the backstretch. Now he's trying to laugh his way all the way to see if he can get to the end of stage 2 and win it. Door to door, very tight going into turn 3. Merck up top. Doucette down on the bottom. Doucette not able to get clear just yet, as Merck's going to be right on his right rear bumper. And going into turn 1, Doucette may be driving it in just a little bit deep. Now he gets clear to the lead. The Joker, Joey Doucette, has the lead here at Rockingham.
As the Joker asks, why so serious, son, as he passes Jeff Merrick for the race lead here at the Rock. Joey Doucette is one of the best drivers here in Nazareth, in my opinion. Just finds some hard luck in these races. He's a competitor, I would have to say, Jake, that usually either finishes in the top 5, top 10, or wins the race at the end. Fills out, oh no, Taylor Peacock in the wall, bounces off the top side into the low side of the racetrack. They are beating and banging, bouncing off these walls like ping pong balls. We're playing pinball here tonight, Jake.
And well, I just mentioned it a while ago with turn 4 being as tight as it is, turn 2 is just as tight as you saw right there. The Peacock slid up just a little bit too much, gets into the wall, tried to yank it back off. Thankfully, nobody was on the bottom lane to where he came down. That would have caused a heavy, heavy crash. But Peacock slipping all the way back to almost outside the top 10. As Pappas has got around him, Shepard has got around him. Now he's got a rear view mirror full of Kyle Hess right now. As Hess drives it in, he gets a little bit loose as well. All this going on in front of Cody Knott, Justin White, and Huck Wigington.
Yeah, and when we look at this pass now, Jose Luis Rivera looks to the inside of the 18 of Justin Lumpkin here. This is a pass for the top 5 to creep up inside the top 5. Right now, Jose Luis Rivera is the 5th truck on the racetrack. But one thing, looking back at the Taylor Peacock situation at 81 there, Jake, I think he's got some heavy left side damage. I think he's fighting this truck into the corners, out of the corners. You see right there, has to oversteer. You just saw the oversteer there on the backstretch here live on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network. I don't think he can get that truck low on the corners anymore.
I don't think he can, and the little bit of left side damage that you're talking about was right after he got up into the top side wall off of turn 2, darted it back down, tried to get it off the wall, and then he just jerked it straight down and it went straight into the inside wall, which is very crazy to see, I mean, here at Rockingham, because there is a wall that actually sticks out a little bit farther than the regular inside wall on the backstretch. So you know, he just came out, jumped up and bit him right there off of turn 2, and then the inside wall jumped up and bit him as well. So I'm sure Peacock, he's just going to try to hold on as hard as he can, still holding on to that 10th spot. Kyle Hess has still been looking, trying to get around him. But if he can hold on to that bad boy for a couple more laps, wait till the end of stage 2, might be able to go in there and get his truck fixed and be back up in the mix.
And there goes Kyle Hess to the inside in that 86 machine. He's trying to take advantage of an injured Taylor Peacock there on the top side of the racetrack. And Jake, is that something that the 81 could possibly fix down pit road, or is that damage just going to take too long to repair?
It depends on how hard he hit it. I mean, we saw, you know, when he hit the outside wall, he smacked it pretty good, to be honest with you, Will. You know, inside wall, looked like he smacked it all right. So, I mean, you know, he's beaten and battered on both sides, I guess you could say. But, you know, this track being 1 mile long and these pace laps, they actually go very quick here, believe it or not. If it's Talladega, he'd be good like we're going to next week in Talladega. He'd be fine. He'd be able to get that truck fixed, no problem. As bad as it looks and as bad as it may be, it might be, he might be in bad shape. We got a lot of hard racing going on right inside the top 5.
Yeah, we got quite the battle is raging on right here inside the top 5, as you just talked about. Hunter Parsons, Jose Luis Rivera, Justin Lumpkin, who now looks to the inside of the 20 of Jose Luis Rivera into 3 and 4. You got Jacob Klinkart right there. Robbie Richards as well, and Phil Pappas, gets a little loose off of 4. He keeps it going though, and for Phil Pappas, he's singing that 90s song and getting knocked down. I get up again. You saw the 85 machine completely sideways on the racetrack. Now finds himself just outside the top 5.
Pappas still trying to ride what momentum he can from winning at the Milwaukee Mile earlier this season. Now he's going to ride it all the way to the top side, see if he can try to find a way around Dana Shepherd. All of this going on right behind Justin Lumpkin as Pappas going to come down, maybe even get a little side draft, if you will, right here on Dana Shepherd. Pappas still stuck up on that top side, Shepherd down on the bottom. The rest of them that's in front of him basically single file as they go into 3.
As we've settled into this stage number 2 here, still a long way to go here in this stage, about 50 or so laps to play out. I'm looking at this race here tonight, Jake, as we head into a 1 and 2. We see Robbie Richards keeps trying to look around Jacob Klinkart. When do we see green flag pit stops here in this stage?
If it was me, honestly, Will, I would split it. From where they was at, I believe they went back green on, like, I believe it was lap 50. I believe it was somewhere in that range. That would be what I would do, 50 all the way to the end of the stage break. Whatever that number is, I'd split that sucker right down the middle and go in and get you 4 fresh tires, get you some gas, and get back out there. Because as I mentioned, this track is very abrasive on the tires, but you might see some guys running long and try to catch them at the back half, right there at the back half of the stage. You may see some of them just start down earlier and try to leapfrog some of the guys in front of them. But if it was me, I'd split it right down the middle.
Yeah, watching the 48 of Robbie Richards right there, and I gotta think being on the low side of this racetrack here tonight, Jake, it's gonna be the most nerve-wracking spot you can be in. We'll watch Justin Lumpkin go to the inside of Jacob Klinkart there just as I'm talking about it, and I think it's the exit of the corner. You have to make sure you're clear on that exit there, Jake, or else you're going to make contact. We've actually seen it a few times here tonight, and we'll watch these battles, side-by-side battles into the corner. We'll watch them play out of the corner, and you have to make sure if you're going to come back up on the racetrack, and you see it right there, how tight that gets. I think that's the most nerve-wracking spot on the racetrack.
Absolutely, and we seen the wreck earlier, with Robbie Richards and Adam Newton. We saw how tight that it can get. Just one little bit of a bobble, can make it even tighter than what it really is. So, yeah, very, very tight corner. But the guys on the bottom, they're at that mercy. I mean, they've got to get out of the gas. They've got to lift to give advantage to the top. And then we just seen it right there with Jacob Klinkart. Robbie Richards comes up a little bit. He's got to come up. He can't be all the way smack dab on the bottom. He's got to come up a little bit. That may have threw Jacob Klinkart off a little bit as he had to get out of the gas, because if he didn't, he's going to throw it straight into the fence. So, I mean, very, very tight corner right there. These guys are coming off right here, turn 2.
Yeah, Hess is going to try to squeeze Klinkart up there. You have to be almost mindful when you come off that corner if you're on the low side of that guy on the high side of the racetrack. Of course, you can't pay too much attention of it. You have to kind of guess where that guy is going to be to keep your space. And you see how tight it is right there. You see some more battles here on the racetrack. Some guys have lost their pace. That's the 13 of Michael McKinnon, Chris Cinnamon. These guys, we saw them up inside the top 10, now trying to find the pace. We see a battle, though, right inside the top 5. Raging on right there. That's Hunter Parsons, Robbie Richards, Jose Luis Rivera. Jose Luis Rivera trying to get around the 48 here as we cross that start-finish line. You're going to make it 78 into 1.
Rivera trying to get around Richards. That would be for the 4th position here on the racetrack. But do not count out the lead, folks, as it has tightened up big time as Merck was all over the back bumper. Joey Doucette about 2 laps ago literally pushed him going down the backstretch. And what I mean by pushing, folks, I don't mean by he's trying to get him to go on. I mean literally he was pushing Joey Doucette literally up his tailgate, literally making contact, trying to push him into turn 3. That's how tight these two leaders are going on. And with as hard as they are racing, they may even bring Hunter Parsons, who's sitting 3rd, about a second back as Merck tries to go all the way to the top, try to find some kind of grip he can. And there's Hunter Parsons just jumping into the view here on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network. These 3 guys right here have actually separated themselves big time as Robbie Richards back in 4th. He is almost 4 seconds behind this lead pack.
Yeah, oh no, as there's contact made, Robbie Richards just smacks the topside wall coming off of 2. That calamity corner we've been talking about all night long. We've seen drivers just smack off that topside wall there, whether it's on the backstretch or coming off of that corner. Now Kyle Hess finds himself in that 4th position, about 3.5 seconds away from Hunter Parsons there. And Jake, you touched on it. Those three are the three amigos that are at the top of the grid. You see it right here as we're riding on board with Kyle Hess, how separated they truly are.
Absolutely, and these guys right here, these are the drivers that I can see 100%. Any of these three drivers taking home the win here tonight in the Millie's Restaurant and Catering 200 here at Rockingham. And I mean, these guys right here, I mean, they're putting on a show up front. I mean, Merck, he's took some shots at Joey Doucette, trying to see if he could sneak by him somehow, some way. But all that hard racing, that's led Hunter Parsons right up into the middle of this as well. So, and don't count this out, but they're actually still gapping themselves from Kyle Hess and Robbie Richards. So these three right here, guys, I'm telling you right now, if you had these three in your pool at work, in the race pool at work, you may be able to win that bad boy.
That's right. As we, another thing to keep in mind though, Jake, we're almost on about 40 laps on these tires and equipment here in this stage number 2. And you talked about some of these drivers wanting to push the envelope just a little bit. Do you try to push it to lap 100? That's putting an extra 20 laps on those tires, or maybe around the 90-95 range.
I mean, yeah. I mean, honestly, yeah. I mean, I think that's exactly what you want to try to do. You want to try to stretch it as far as you can. Like I said earlier, I figured some of them would actually want to split the stage in half. As meaning as I say that, here comes Hunter Parsons. He's going to take my idea of it, if you will. Try to see if he can split this bad boy in half and maybe try to gain a little bit of extra speed. As we see some of these guys, we've seen the times drop off dramatically right now. I mean, Jeff Merck, we'll check his time and Doucette's time at the line. As Doucette comes to the line right here, his time is a 25.3, which is way lower than what it was qualifying. 2 seconds almost slower than what they ran in qualifying. So these tires are really starting to wear. But I'm telling you, Hunter Parsons trying to split this right here in half. He may be trying to gain a little bit of extra speed, try to leapfrog some guys. As now we have Robbie Richards going down pit road.
And as we watch that 48 cruise down the pit road lane here, and I think that alludes to why we started to see the 60 truck of Jeff Merck start to go up the racetrack there to that high side. I think maybe trying to put some more extra care on those tires. As you see Joey Doucette still on the low side of the racetrack, and now Jeff Merck is down there with him as well. But I think for those few couple laps where we saw the 60 way up on the high side of the racetrack, maybe just trying to conserve a little bit, find that grip as you were talking about, Jake, because right now it's really these two guys at the top of the grid until one of them heads down pit road. I don't think we're going to see any separation.
I mean, really, I don't. I mean, but, if he's going to the top the way that he's driving, he looks like he's sending it in there, and he's not able to keep it down on the bottom. That's exactly where he needs to be, right there, basically up the tailgate like he is right now with Joey Doucette. As I mentioned earlier, the shorter line around here is the better line for saving your tires. If you're up there on the top, you're going to be burning your stuff up just more and more and more. And, I think when he shot up into the outside wall well, honestly, I think it was just either him misjudging going into the turn because the tires are just so wore out. Either that or that truck is just handling so terrible right now, it just shot straight up there and it just wouldn't keep down.
Looking at the action on the track here, C.O.P.S is inside the top 5 in that 85 machine. He has moved his way up the grid. He's currently up 19 spots from the drop of the green flag. You see the racing stripes on that guy. But look at these two competitors on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network. Taylor Peacock, Keith Bradley, both with damage on the sides of their trucks. You can see it clearly here on the broadcast. Both guys, though, still inside the top 10. Keith Bradley currently 6th, Taylor Peacock currently 5th, Jake. So that just goes to show that these guys can get knocked around a little bit. You can wreck, you can have a little damage, but they stay in the fight. Most of them scrap out top 5 finishes.
Absolutely, and you're seeing right there what tires can do for you right there. As Ed Osborne just slipped right past both of them. Didn't even flinch, I guess you could say, just going straight around him. Ed Osborne, one of those guys that went down pit road, got him some tires, and that just shows right now. We got a wreck on the front stretch.
Wreck on the front stretch is Joey Doucette's down pit road. That's going to be Adam Newton, the 82, Jacob Quinkler in the 5, Chris Cinnamon in the 3. Oh my goodness, what happened there? We saw it just briefly the corner of the shot there on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network. And Adam Newton, Jose Luis Rivera, these guys are inside the top 10, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, it was just straight up net code right there, to be honest with you, Will. I mean, it was straight up net code. I mean, Dana Shepard was up on the top side right there, Chris Cinnamon going through the tri-oval, and, Shepard came down, maybe tried to do a little side draft, give or take, but there was net code that was smack dab in the middle of every bit of that, and then just straight up turns him into the fence, and everybody ensues right there. Clinkart getting involved, Adam Newton getting involved. Very unfortunate, especially right here in the middle of green flag pit stops.
And I think what really hurts is for Hunter Parsons, who just headed down pit road. We saw him there. We talked about how he was possibly splitting the stage. Jacob Klinkart's going to take some damage from this as well. Maybe. We saw just on the shot there. But definitely Adam Newton's going to take some heavy damage, and Hunter Parsons right there. Those two guys are inside the top 5, Jake.
Absolutely, and that's very unfortunate for them, especially with Hunter Parsons, that was doing basically the strategy that I said, which, granted, here comes the commentator curse once again, Will. He was doing the way that I would have done it, and then he ends up being an innocent bystander smack dab in the middle of this.
And we've seen these cautions here tonight just involve multiple drivers. This one's going to involve Dana Shepard in the 45, Chris Cinnamon in the 3. Looks like Jacob Klinkart might avoid damage out of this. We'll have to wait and see at the end of this replay if he's able to keep it clean. You know for a fact, though, Adam Newton's going to suffer some big damage on his truck as he comes sliding right into the front end of the 3 of Chris Cinnamon. Hunter Parsons, same thing. Almost going to make an identical contact there on the front end of the 3 machine of Chris Cinnamon. Man, I think as we creep up towards the halfway point of this race, Jake, any kind of damage to your truck, although you could get it repaired down pit road, I mean, winning the race, it might be out of the window for the 25 and the 82 of Adam Newton.
Absolutely. I mean, but, they can still somehow or another salvage a good finish. But as much as we have seen all the hard racing and the wrecks that we have seen here, nobody's out of it yet. I mean, as you're riding on board right here, check this out. Brandon Bullock just trying to sneak through this the best that he can. Wow. I mean, Cinnamon comes down, Klinkart comes up. Bullock just has to damn near stand on the brake just so he don't get caught up in any of this right here, but he's able to sneak through it. But, it's like I said, Will, I mean, things can happen. Things can get crazy. They can have some crazy situations go on, and people can have bigger wrecks, and it can cause more people to get in it. So the win, yeah, it's far-fetched, if you will, for some of these guys that's got a lot of damage right here in this race. But they can still salvage somehow, some way, and probably break out a top 10. Maybe not what they wanted this evening, but still a top 10 is better than finishing like 20th.
Absolutely. As we talk about that new top 10 here in the Millie's Restaurant and Catering 200, of course, Jeff Merck, who has just put on a masterclass here the first half of this race, he's going to be on that top position. Kyle Hess, who's just been quietly inside the top 5, will be up there with him as well. Look at Phil Pappas, Taylor Peacock in that next row, both drivers who have gone through adversity here tonight, gone through the ringer, if you will, inside the top 5. Then you have Raul Meza, Cody Knott, Keith Bradley, Jeff Sickles, Jacob Klinkart, and Steven Thomas will round out our top 10 here, awaiting the drop of the green flag. And Jake, we're starting to see some guys we didn't see early in this race now creep up into the mix, the likes of Jeff Sickles. You look at Steven Thomas right there, Joey Doucette, Jacob Klinkart. Some of these names, Cody Knotts inside the top 5. We'll see how it all plays out here as we keep things rocking and rolling in stage number 2 as Jeff Mutter takes the green flag into 1.
Hess does not get a good restart. He's going to stack Peacock right behind him, but Phil Pappas tried to follow in tow. One thing we do need to keep an eye on is that number 16 of Joey Doucette, because he basically got shanked, if you will, on that last caution right there. He was on pit road and was up there battling with Jeff Merck. So watch out for that 16 of Joey Doucette. He's going to be really rolling right here, as you mentioned earlier. Will rolling, trying to get rolling through this field and get back up there to Merck.
97 laps into the Millie's Restaurant and Catering 200. We watched Dana Shepard go to the inside. Robbie Richards here. Both drivers trying to move back up through the grid. And you see those guys right now starting to top 15 after some troubles in this race. Oh my goodness. As you almost saw the 37 of Raul Meza make contact with Keith Bradley's right fender. Oh my goodness gracious. Watch out for that 37 machine. He is Tokyo drifting here at the Rock.
And while that is going on, we have a change for the lead, folks. Kyle Hess in the 86 has took it over from Jeff Merck. Merck all the way back to fourth. Something amiss, I guess you could say, on that 60 truck. As now Bradley's up his tailgate trying to get to fourth. But check it out, Kyle Hess in the 86 to the lead. Peacock second. Phil Pappas riding in third. And Bradley trying to find a way around Merck to get fourth.
All these battles ensuing here as we're counting on the laps here in stage number 2. Just about 26 laps to go here in this stage. We saw Jeff Merck win the stage before and now has some work to do if he wants to go back-to-back in the stages. For Kyle Hess, though, the 86 is going to take us into 3 and 4. You see that machine coming off of 4. Looks good in the lead here, Jake. Let's see if he can maintain.
Absolutely, and Peacock actually gets a slit, just a little very loose. I mean, just slight loose right there off of 4. He's still going to be able to hold ground with Kyle Hess. Pappas up here trying to hold on to third as Merck is now starting to breathe down his back bumper. A lot of hard racing going on around the Keith Bradley, Raul Meza areas. Here comes Jacob Klinkart. Saw him get caught up in that last accident. And here comes the Joker, Joey Doucette. I mentioned him a while ago, down on the inside of Jacob Klinkart, try to get that 7th spot. Looks like he will be able to clear him coming off the turn 2. Now he's going to take even farther actions and try to see if he can pass Raul Meza.
Yeah, Joey Doucette looks to the inside. There's Jeff Merck battling for position as well. He's trying to move up the grid, get around Phil Pappas in that 85. He does it off the corner here. Across that start-finish line, Jeff Merck up to third. Raul Meza now on the outside. Joey Doucette in that 16. So many battles on the racetrack here as you count down the laps in stage number 2 of the Millie's Restaurant and Catering 200. Almost contact there between the 37 of Raul Meza and the 16 of Joey Doucette. As we come around 3 and 4, Jake, these battles rage on for position.
Raging on as much as they can, and Doucette still trying to see if he can clear Raul Meza, but Meza not giving it up without a fight. Now Doucette's going to be able to clear himself from Raul Meza. Now he's going to set his sights on the Animal. The Joker and the Animal, if you will, going to battle it out right here for the top 5 in stage number 2. But Bradley still trying to hold down this top side. It's been working out for him here in this race. He's going to get the run, jump down to the bottom. Up top, Bradley down on the bottom. Bradley going to see if he can hold it in tow. Watch out for turn 2, as we mentioned, gets very tight over here, but a lot of respect shown by both drivers as Bradley's going to get around Pappas and see if he can pull the Joker right with him.
And you see Keith Bradley there on the top side of the racetrack. When they come off of 2, Jake, you almost see the drivers window shopping there. I do it at the Publix bakery. I look at all the great cookies, cakes, everything that they do. I never really buy anything, and I think that's what these drivers are doing off of 2. They're looking to the inside. When they get off the corner, nothing there. They'll follow right back behind that other guy you saw right there with Jacob Klinkart in that 5. They keep looking to the inside pass, fading back in, looking, fade back in. So keep an eye out for that on the exit 2.
Absolutely, and Will, thank you very much for reminding me about something. I know we got a lot of hard racing going on, but Will, you just reminded me about Publix. I got to go get me some chicken wings Sunday before the football game. But anyway, got Pappas right here. Doucette got up his back bumper, got Pappas just a little bit loose. Pappas going to slip just a little bit. He's actually going to slip farther back as Raul Meza's going to go around him. Here comes Justin Lumpkin. Haven't talked a lot about him here. He's going to go for 7th on the top side, see if he can try to get around Phil Pappas.
Yeah, and we'll be honest, folks. Off air, we were talking about the concerns of Police Survivors Truck Series power rankings, sort of our own opinions of where drivers should be and shouldn't be. And, you know, both of us kind of looked at the 18 of Justin Lumpkin. We weren't sure why he was so high on the power rankings. But with here in tonight's performance, Jake, he's avoided all the cautions. He stayed clean. I don't think there's many racing starts on that 18. He's just going to cruise his way to another top 5 finish if it stays this way.
Absolutely, and that's honestly, well, I believe that might be the reason why he is at the top of the power rankings. I mean, you mentioned Justin Lumpkin coming in tonight. I believe you said 8th in the points coming into tonight. Top of the list right there for the power rankings, but the consistency that this number 18 shows to be able to not get caught up in any accidents and just keep that truck straight up clean. He's going to be one of the few drivers here in the field that's going to have a clean truck when we get to that final 80 lap stage. And boy, let me tell you right now, that's going to be really, that's going to pay dividends for him big time coming to the end of this race.
And looking at the lap times, though, of our top 2 competitors on the grid, Jeff Merck is running slightly faster lap times than our leader. Taylor Peacock currently in 3rd. He's lingering right there, but you're starting to see Kyle already go up the racetrack a little bit. And unfortunately, here comes Adam Newton down pit road, Chris Cinnamon's down pit road as well. And you know, both those guys had high hopes coming into this race. Looks like that race is going south for them here at the halfway point. Back up at the top of the grid, we're looking at Joey Doucette having to get around some lap traffic here down the backstretch.
Doucette trying to find his way to try to get back to the animal of Keith Bradley, but he's going to try to keep going what he has been doing the whole time. He's trying to get around Adam Johnson. Johnson running 3 laps down in that 22nd spot. Doucette's going to have to go somewhere. He hasn't won much this race, try to go to the top, but it's not going to work. So the lap truck of Johnson starting to hold Doucette up. That might be a big time move right there. Doucette was really starting to close in on Bradley and Peacock. Now Doucette's going to slip back just a little bit. See if he can try to find a way to run those guys down.
I just want to check back in with the 13 machine of Michael McKinnon. You know, he still holds the fastest lap of the race. The 13 machine has found some adversity and challenges here in this race. We're currently right in the 17th position, so maybe just trying to squeeze out a top 15. If anybody's a candidate for the Hard Luck Award, I think it's going to go to the 13 machine of Michael McKinnon after this race. He has the fastest lap of the race. He started just outside of the pole position. But we know how these things go, Jake. You come in the fastest car, fastest lap. If you catch just that one bad wreck, it can set you back pretty far in the race.
Absolutely, but the big thing about that right there is Michael McKinnon right now scored 1 lap down. He is the first driver 1 lap down as we speak. But I'll say this, Kyle Hess is really starting to reel in, if you will. Stephen Thomas, he's the last driver on the lead lap, sitting in that 16th spot. So I know Michael McKinnon wants these last 5 laps to run through as fast as they possibly can. That way he can find a way to get back on the lead lap and maybe get up there and salvage for a top 15 or even a top 10, if you will, right here. Well, that would be awesome for Michael McKinnon to be able to battle back through the adversity that you said and be able to sneak one out right here and get him a top 10 here tonight.
Yeah, we watched this battle taking place. Taylor Peacock in the 81, Keith Bradley in the 29. Both drivers have damage to their trucks or have sustained damage to their trucks during the race. I've got to repair it. They're down pit road. And it's just that looky-loo action there. You see the 81's trying to break the draft of the 29. He knows he's right there down that front stretch now into the corner. And you see it coming down the backstretch here. If the 29 can get close enough, he'll look to the inside, and there he goes. Like a rocket launch out of the space pad here in Florida. He comes flying up to the 81, takes the position away. Keith Bradley, the animal, up another spot in this race, up to 3rd, podium spot for the animal.
Absolutely, Bradley able to get 3rd and seeing if he can hold on to it for 2 more laps. Get him a 3rd place finish here in the 2nd stage. Remember, folks, he started in the back because of penalties from last week at Daytona at the road course. So Bradley trying to hang on to it as we are getting ready to come to it right here. Matter of fact, actually the end of stage 2 is at lap 125, so apologies for the misconfusion on that. But Bradley has got a fast truck right here, folks. He is popping down some serious lap times right here. He may have a shot to maybe catch Jeff Merck and then maybe get to Kyle Hess, but that's a maybe, honestly, Will. I mean, these guys are really clicking off these lap times right here. I don't think it's going to be enough time to catch them.
And I think the key points of stage number 2 here, what shows off to me, Jake, is that if you can get in that clean air like Kyle Hess in the 86, you've got it in the bag. You have nobody beating and banging against you as long as you hit those corners the way you're supposed to. You keep that thing on the right line. Of course, you're going to have runs over that second place truck. Jeff Merck made some runs here in this stage. But for Kyle Hess in the 86, if he can continue this here the rest of the go in that clean air, get a good restart here to launch things off, keep that composure, he's in that prime position just like Jeff Merck was there in stage number 1.
And, you know, well, believe it or not, and I know that we still got a lot of racing left to go here in this race, but we've had so many new winners. Kyle Hess hasn't won a race this season. Let's think about that for a second. Well, he hasn't won a race all season. Granted, the season has been somewhat short so far as we're right here in the first parts of it, but with the new winners that we have had this season, Kyle Hess hasn't won a race yet. Just not trying to put the commentator's curse on him, not trying to screw him in any way, shape, fashion, or form. He might be the next new winner here at Rockingham. He's got 2 laps left in stage number 2.
And if he continues this run with 2 laps to go here in stage 2, it'll continue what I said a few weeks ago, almost creeping up about a month ago, and that's the kind of the charge, the kind of the bubbling, the kind of steam that's been coming out of the BP Racing for Autism team. Of course, you had Zach Hartwick pick up a win there. Phil Pappas has been very strong. Kyle Hess now leading this race here tonight. I kind of predicted this team would find its stride a few weeks ago. We're seeing it here tonight with a beautiful race truck up at the top of the grid. He's going to take this stage number 2 as he goes into 3 and 4 here on this final lap. Nobody around him as Kyle Hess wins stage number 2 with a Millie's Restaurant and Catering 200.
Big time stage win right there for Kyle Hess. Mentioning all of this go on, it was a dogfight coming off of turn number 4 for the stage 2. For second in stage 2, as Keith Bradley was right up the back bumper of Jeff Merck, and Merck almost lost that second spot, but Merck able to hold on to it. He'll get second. Bradley will get third. Taylor Peacock fourth. Joey Doucette going to round out the top 5 here in stage number 2.
Yeah, looking at Phil Pappas, we were just talking about him. That's going to be that BP Racing for Autism teammate of Kyle Hess. He's going to finish 6th, Raul Meza 7th, Justin Lumpkin 8th, Jose Luis Rivera 9th, and Jacob Klinkart in the 10th position as we watch the entire field head down pit road here. Watch this race off of pit road, and it's going to determine basically these last 80 odd so or laps here in the Millie's Restaurant and Catering 200. What a race it's really been, Jake. You know, it hasn't been boring at all. It hasn't been really drawn out. We've had different lead changes. We've had some wrecks in the mix as well. I think we're in for quite a shootout here at the end.
Absolutely, we're in for quite a show. I mean, Rockingham always puts on a great show, and it's unfortunate that this track is not on the NASCAR schedules for the Craftsman Truck Series, Xfinity, or the Cup Series, because this track is, like I said, it's got a lot of history. It's got a lot of tradition. Think back to like 2003. Some of our viewers, they probably ain't even old enough to remember this, but you know, think back to 2003. That's when Matt Kenseth was able to clinch the Winston Cup title. It was Winston Cup at that time. He clinched it here at Rockingham. Had enough points to be able to clinch that happen. Take it to the next year. Had a photo finish at the end of the race. I believe it was Elliott Sadler, I believe, that won that race, if I'm not mistaken. I have to check my history books on that one. But Rockingham, Dale Earnhardt won a championship here at Rockingham. So this track has got a lot of history, a lot of tradition within this racetrack, and it always puts on a great show, Will. And for these last 80 laps, I think we're in no different right here. We're fixing to see a hell of a show right here at the end of this thing.
Well, folks, now is the time to grab those snacks, grab those drinks, meet us back here on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network, because we're going to take our first break of the evening. We'll be right back for the drop of the green flag. Welcome back, everybody, to the Nazareth 360 Racing Network, as Kyle Hess is going to take us to the drop of the green flag here in the Millie's Restaurant and Catering 200. My name is William Tiller. I'm joined by Jake Reeves. Adam Flieger is the man controlling everything here tonight as we're off of corner number 2 down the backstretch.
And Hess is going to get out to a very, very good lead. Gets a good jump on the start. Now he's going to try to see if he can pull away from Jeff Merck. Merck in a little bit of a battle right here with Taylor Peacock for that second spot. Bradley trying to hold down fourth. And then Phil Pappas, he's got a rear view mirror full of the Joker, Joey Doucette with Lumpkin, Raul Meza, Robbie Richards, and Jose Luis Rivera. That's the top 10 as they go down the backstretch.
Backstretch right now, single file. It's calm before the storm, and there it is. There's the storm. Caution flag is out on the racetrack. Our first caution flag here in this run. We'll have to wait and see what brought out that caution, and Jake will check out the on the pole instant replay.
Yeah, and I'm trying to find this actually myself, trying to see exactly what happened right here. We're gonna see it right here as they come off of turn number 2. Wow, just straight up losing it. That's Ed Osborne in a 42 entry, just straight up loses it coming off of turn 2. And, you know, well, we've talked about how turn 2 is very tight. You know, we've talked about how tight it is over there off turn 2, how you got to watch yourself and not try to slide up into anybody, or if you're on the top and you know, try not to slide up into the fence. Well, it can be loose over there as well, and Ed Osborne just straight up loses it over there. I've lost it over turn 2 myself, not in a truck. I lost it in a next gen car and completely pounded the inside wall. So basically like Ed Osborne did, but I mean, that turn 2, it is absolutely 100% treacherous, whether you're side by side and you get tight sliding up into somebody, or whether you just lose the back end, spin the truck out.
Yeah, and it's just something we've seen all night here. And Jake, I love your stories as a driver, because I think it gives the viewers an awesome point of view of what these guys have to deal with here on the track. It's not as just simple as loading up into the sim and getting it rocking and rolling. You have to deal with so many different aspects of a race, and especially with an older track like the Rock here at Rockingham. You know, you're dealing with, let's say, draft, you know, fuel strategies, everything like that. Then you're also having to deal with the surface of Rockingham, which in itself, we've seen the trucks bouncing around here tonight. The corners are a little wacky there on exit. Just so many things you have to keep an eye out for.
Absolutely, and you know, I mentioned earlier, you know, this is a great track. Actually, we heard from our producer, Adam Flieger, said that this track is going to be race ready by February 2024, whether or not NASCAR is going to do it. And honestly, if anybody that works in NASCAR, if you can hear my voice, put it on the schedule. For God's sakes, put this track on the schedule. I don't give a flip if it's for the Truck Series, whatever. I mean, hell, put it for the ARCA Series for all I care. This track, one of the best tracks in the country. And but to your point, well, I'm sorry we got off topic here for a second, but to your point, yeah, I mean, there's so much that you're thinking of when you're in the truck or you're in a car or what have you. You know, you got to think about, you know, who's on your outside. You got to think about your gas. You got to think about, when can I go down pit road? When can I jump this guy in front of me? And then all that going on, especially going down pit road, then you got to whoa it down enough. You got to get it to the right speed limit. You got to not speed. You got to make sure you find your right box. I mean, there's so much stuff going on, and that's why you're watching the best of the best here in the C.O.P.S Truck Series on Friday nights here on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network. I mean, you just got some of the best right here doing it, and it's a mind game every time you get out there on the track, because you got so much that you're thinking about. You know, granted, you know, I mean, it's exhausting physically, believe it or not, to sit in a sim rig, turn the wheel, and mash the gas and everything else, but it is also mentally draining, because that's just how racing is, because you got so much going on.
Absolutely, and there's a lot more to go on here in this race. Let's check out our new top 10 here on this restart. Kyle Hess will roll off first, Jeff Merck second, Taylor Peacock third, Keith Bradley fourth, Phil Pappas fifth, Joey Doucette sixth, Justin Lumpkin seventh, Raul Meza eighth, Robbie Richards ninth, and Jose Luis Rivera will anchor our top 10 here as we await this restart. And Jake, I think we got about a lap or two into that green flag run, and the yellow flag flew. I think we're going to see this yellow flag a few more times here towards the end of this race. But here we go, folks. Kyle Hess, Jeff Merck to the start-finish line. Green flag in the air as Hess takes us into corner number 1.
Hess drives it down in, able to get clear of everybody just as he did on that last restart. Now Taylor Peacock in a side-by-side battle with Jeff Merck. Merck up top. Keith Bradley up top as well, trying to find his way around Taylor Peacock. Merck's going to try to get clear, or maybe not now he will get clear. As Peacock's going to drop in as we got them all going crazy off of turn number 4, but Merck gets clear. Peacock's clear. Bradley is clear. Now they're going to see if they can run some laps, maybe see if they can reel in Kyle Hess.
And as we're into 3 and 4, the only example that actually just came into my mind, Jake, at this style of racing out at Rockingham, if you think about a surfer, your surfer starts surfing the wave, you start getting to the barrel of the wave, and when you're surfing the barrel of the wave, you feel that wave start to close in on you. And I think this is the type of style of racing we're seeing here tonight. You can ride that barrel, oh my goodness, as it closes, as Robbie Richards goes into Raul Meza down the backstretch. We'll see if the caution flag waves. It does. Just as I was explaining the nervousness of that part of the racetrack, Jake, it comes crumbling down. The wave crashes on the surfer. Yellow flag is out once again.
Once again, turn number 2 gets some drivers and collects even more, as we seen them right here off of turn number 2. You saw it right here on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network. And that's just 100% another racing incident. Turn 2 just swallowing up drivers once again. Robbie Richards was down on the bottom, gets loose. You're going to see it. He slides straight up into Raul Meza. Believe it or not, there was some net code once again, Will. And for those of you that don't know what net code is, it's like IP addresses. Believe it or not, in iRacing, IP addresses that just don't match. You know, they just don't match. And iRacing thinks that there is a contact that is being made between both of the trucks when there's not one. And you'll see it right here. Robbie Richards gets a little bit loose. You see it right there. And absolutely, you could fit a 2x4 between both of those trucks. But Robbie Richards goes into the inside, or to the outside wall. Here comes Raul Meza right back down in front of everybody behind him. And all of this was going on inside the top 10. So there was other drivers that was trying to jump up through there and try to miss all this action as well.
And another just close call there. You see Ashley Dotson, who's had a race that he probably wishes he can forget here. You also see another driver there in the mix. And Jake, it's just been, I think we're just going to see more of these yellow flags here towards the end of this race, as more drivers are going to fight for position, more drivers are going to try to jockey up there. Those inside moves we've seen, or even drivers trying to pass to the outside, is going to be tricky in this race, of how tight this racing's been.
Absolutely, and you know, with the laps, they just keep winding down, Will. That just makes the aggression just pick up even more. I mean, it's hard to look at a driver and say, well, you got 60 laps, just take it easy. They ain't listening. I mean, anybody that has been on the iRacing server, anybody that's been on any type of racing in general knows that, you know, when you see somebody in front of you, you want to get up there and pass them. You want to try to be the best. You want to try to win. Everybody has that mindset going into every race, and they should. To be honest with you, they really should have that mindset that, yeah, I'm the baddest guy out here on the racetrack. So it's hard to sit there and tell guys to lay back, especially when the laps are winding down. I mean, we're inside of 60 laps left to go in this race, so aggression's gonna pick up, and it's like you said. I mean, it's just gonna get crazier from here on out.
Well, Jake, if you want a place to lay back and relax, we invite you to go check out our race sponsor here in tonight's event, Millie's Restaurant and Catering. Millie's Restaurant has been dedicated to serving our community with the freshest, locally sourced, chef-quality food since 2017. No matter the time of the year, it's guaranteed you'll be enjoying the best of the season. They offer indoor and outdoor dining options and strongly recommend reservations by either calling 386-275-1492 or using resi.com to make those reservations. And Jake, they're just conveniently located in Daytona Beach. So all these folks that go to Speed Weeks, go to all the events in Daytona, there's no reason why you shouldn't go check out Millie's Restaurant and Catering. You can go find them on Facebook. They have a website. They have a Yelp page as well. If you're in that area, go ahead and get you some fresh, locally caught seafood from Millie's Restaurant and Catering. But as the field creeps up into 3 and 4, we're going to get another restart here. Jake, get things rocking and rolling once again.
Yep, Kyle Hess is going to be on the front row. Got Taylor Peacock to his outside. Got Phil Pappas, Justin Lumpkin, Cody Knott. That's your top 5. Jeffrey Sickles, Joey Doucette, Jeff Merck, Keith Bradley, and Jose Luis Rivera. That is the top 10 as Kyle Hess gets a huge jump once again. Goes down into turn 1, straight up clear of everybody. Now Peacock's going to be able to jump down from the top, down back to the bottom, jump in front of Pappas. So Peacock's going to hold on to second. Pappas is going to hold on to third as the rest of the package, you see them back here driving their tails off, trying to see if they can find a way to try to get around some of these guys and get up here to the front.
And during that caution, you had about 8 drivers stay out on the racetrack. The rest of the field elected to go down. So you're watching the drivers out right now. Kyle Hess, Taylor Peacock, Phil Pappas. You also look at the likes of Cody Knott right there. You look at Jeff Sickles. All these drivers have yet to head down pit road, so they're going to be fighting equipment that are around 13, 14 laps different than the rest of the field. We'll see how that strategy plays out, Jake. And as we see Taylor Peacock, he's trying to make some ground on Kyle Hess here as he come off the field.
Absolutely. Peacock's really starting to put the pressure on, if you will. Basically, the only one that's really even close to Kyle Hess is Taylor Peacock. Got Phil Pappas back here. He's trying to hold on to third as Lumpkin's trying to find a way around him. Lumpkin trying to run the middle, Pappas on the bottom. As you can see, it gets really tight right here going into turn 1. Lumpkin's going to push his luck, go all the way to the top. Pappas down on the bottom. Pappas is going to give him plenty of room as Lumpkin's going to try to get the run, go into turn 3, see if he can get third.
And as Pappas is to the inside of Justin Lumpkin there. And you know, just a thought crossed my mind here, Jake. If Pappas can get inside the top 3, inside the podium, can he sort of just be a nuisance for the rest of the field, make sure his teammate gets into victory lane, you know, be a pawn to a knight here, a little chess reference. But the 85, you know, he's already got some good wins on the season, good runs. He wants to make sure his teammate gets a win. That could be something we could be watching out for here towards the end of this race.
Absolutely. I mean, 100%. And, you know, if Pappas is able to get up there, which would be great if he could get into second, because granted, it's kind of hard to do a lot of blocking, if you will, here at Rockingham. So we got them all going down the backstretch, getting a little slipping and sliding, but he can make it a nuisance for some of these guys. He can drive these guys very, very hard and try to hold some of these guys back. Maybe even try to race them even a little bit harder. That way they've got to go in and burn their tires up more just to try to get around him. You know, and then it could pay dividends for Kyle Hess later on in the run, because he may be able to have fresher tires than the rest of these guys that are trying to get around his teammate.
And as we were talking about Jeff Merrick in that 60, you know, he just pulled off the reverse Cal Naughton in there. You don't see me now, you do. He was right on the back bumper of Phil Pappas in 85. All of a sudden, abracadabra, he's to the side of the 85, went blazing by. So it was about 3 other trucks. There must be something amiss with the 85 truck of Phil Pappas. I'm watching him slide down to the 8th position. I'm thinking this could be that 13-lap difference in equipment.
I believe it is. I mean, he is slipping back a little bit. I mean, his last lap he ran a 24.9 as compared to his teammates 24.6. Kyle Hess, his teammate, being the leader. And some of these other guys, Doucette, they're running 24.6s. Bradley running 24.6s. Pappas may be thinking of something right here, to be honest with you. And this is something that I didn't really think about until we just saw this. He might be sitting there trying to save what he can. He might be trying to go to the distance, Will, believe it or not, because these guys up here, they're rolling pretty hard, the guys that went in and got tires and got gas. They might be rolling up here, starting to try to burn their stuff up. Pappas might be trying to slip back just a little bit, try to save some tire for later on in this race.
Yeah, and you got sort of that shark's nest or that school of fish or any kind of other fish reference here to go along with Millie's Restaurant and Catering. You know that's the school of fish is being led by Jeff Merck, Joey Doucette, Keith Bradley, Jose Luis Rivera, who are all excellent drivers. We're all going to have newer equipment than our leaders here in this run. So I guess my question here on lap 153, how long do you push this window if you're the likes of Kyle Hess and Taylor Peacock who find themselves in great positions right now, Jake? But when does that window start to shut, that advantage starts to go away?
Well, I mean, I think you made your bed right here, basically. I mean, you stayed out. Those guys went in. They got tires. You've made your bed. Now you basically got to lay in it, Will. I mean, eventually, eventually they will have to come to pit road, get tires and everything else. But here's the thing. If we get a caution right here with maybe about 30 to go, somewhere in that range, and, Kyle Hess, Taylor Peacock, even Lumpkin, if they're able to hold ground and stay where they're at, they're going to be sitting pretty on this, because when they go in and get tires, Martin, Doucette, Bradley, Rivera, all those guys, they're going to follow them right down, because then it's going to flip-flop. Because that's exactly what it's going to do, Will. It's going to flip-flop, because Mert and all them, they're not going to jump to the front and be on those older tires and then have Kyle Hess, Peacock, Lumpkin, all those guys. They're just going to shoot right by them on those newer tires. So it's a gamble right here. What they're doing, it is a very good gamble and a very strategic gamble. But I think that's what they're gambling on. They are gambling on a caution later on right here in this race. That way everybody goes down and then you can get on even playing field.
And you see right here on your screen, the 60 machine of Jeff Merck is making the 18 and Justin Lumpkin very uncomfortable on the outside of the racetrack. And you got to think too, Jake, as we watch this play out, oh my goodness, there was almost contact between the 60 and the 18 on the exit of 4. And for these drivers that are on old equipment, it's going to force them up the racetrack. And for the guys with new equipment, they can basically latch those Goodyear Eagles to that yellow line and just kind of scoop up those positions from the bottom line. Not really much fighting or much racing to do. As long as you can stay low, you can get past these guys with old equipment.
Absolutely. I mean, that's exactly what these guys are thinking right now. Merck's doing it to the best of his abilities. Actually, got or I guess you could say he's got a truck that's on older tires. Between him and Joey Doucette, Doucette 5th, Merck in 4th, Lumpkin the one stuck slap dab in the middle. But yeah, I mean that's what it is. I mean, some of these guys are sliding up. I've even been watching Kyle Hess just a little bit. Look like he slides up just a little bit, but Hess is the one that's really been looking very, very comfortable out of the rest of the drivers that stayed out. Kyle Hess, you're going to see, he'll slide up just a little bit right here in the middle of 1 and 2. But from when I see Kyle Hess over him, or excuse me, 3 and 4, but when he gets into 1 and 2, he is smack dab on that yellow line. You're going to see it right here. Gets down to the bottom, slides up just a little bit, powers off right there closer to the bottom of the racetrack. So Hess really, really showing some speed right here. But I'm telling you, them fresher tires, they will come into play later on.
Yeah, looking at Kyle Hess, just ran a 25 last time by 25-1. Let's see what it is here. This time, ran a 25 flat. That puts him right in the mix. But you're seeing faster lap times out of Jeff Merck right there. You're seeing faster lap times out of Keith Bradley as well in that 29. So we'll start to see when the speed advantage starts to come into play. And there's the 60 already on the back bumper of Kyle Hess. Kyle Hess's time in the sandbox has come to an end because here comes the big bad bully of the race, Jeff Merck in that 60. Now has Kyle Hess in his crosshairs as we come off of 2.
Hess going to see if he can hold it down as much as he can, make that truck maybe a little bit wide, if you will, here at Rockingham. Rockingham, as narrow as we have seen all the accidents that have happened. This track is very narrow, especially right here on the front stretch. But check this out right here. As Doucette under fire from the animal Keith Bradley. Bradley all the way to the top of the racetrack. Doucette slides up, almost gets into his door. But Bradley keeps his foot in it and gets around the outside of Joey Doucette. So Bradley move him up to 4th. right behind Taylor Peacock, and Bradley's going to push it even farther. See if he can jump past Taylor Peacock. Maybe not. He backs away. As they come off of turn 2, Kyle Hess still has the lead with Merck right behind him.
And you see what Keith Bradley's doing now here with just over 30 laps to go in this race. He's starting to make his moves. This is the exact strategy that we've seen out of the 29 race after race. He waits his opportunity. He's probably one of the most patient drivers I've seen out there. Although here tonight he is facing adversity, some damage to that truck. The 29 applies this strategy to almost every race, Jake, and it's almost impressive to see. You lay back during the first 75 to 80% of the race, and then you pounce towards the end, and it's something that he's just used to get him championships, get him wins throughout the season as well. And I just want to hear from a driver's point of view, how hard is that to implement?
Well, I mean, it takes a while, Will, honestly. I mean, because I've got the same mentality to a certain extent. I mean, you just got to let everybody else go do their own thing. Like where we're going to go next week. And folks, I'm going to tell you this. If you think, you know, these drivers' minds is fried after Rockingham, come check us out next Friday night at 9 o'clock, because we're going to be at Talladega Super Speedway. That's when they're really going to have their brains fried. But back to your question, Will, I mean, yeah, it is hard to just lay back, just run 80% throttle pretty much the whole race, and then pounce right there at the end like the animal does. It is very hard to do that, and it's very hard to master, because a lot of drivers think, you know, it's lap 1. Honestly, a lot of drivers think on lap 1, I'm going to try to win it from lap 1. Bradley has been around for a while. Bradley, the champion from last season, and I mean, it just takes experience, Will. That's all I can really say about it. It just takes a lot of experience to do that.
Yeah, and talking about the 29 and Keith Bradley there, just ran one of the fastest lap times inside of the top 10. I mean, one of the guys was faster. That's Robbie Richardson, that 48. But right now, he is on the back bumper of Jeff Merck for second. Keith Bradley, that is, as he looks to the inside. The 29 machine is making his move. The animal is hungry here tonight as he creeps towards that second position. No, they'll get denied, as now he has to regroup here on the top side of the racetrack, staying right back behind the bumper of the 60 of Jeff Merck. And I think, Jake, as we cross the start-finish line, this is a battle we're going to see all the way to the end.
Absolutely, and Kyle Hess, believe it or not, out there on those older shoes, he is running pace right now with the leaders right now, as Bradley's still trying to find a way around. Jeff Merck will get you a lap time idea right here when they hit the line. As Kyle Hess, he's going to hit the line first, obviously, as the leader. His last lap, 25.558. Merck's lap, 25.531. Keith Bradley, 25.501. So Kyle Hess on those older tires, really making them work and being able to hold ground with these leaders right here. As wow, now Kyle Hess, looks like Kyle Hess is going to go into the pits. That's going to really open this up wide, as now Bradley down on the bottom almost gets into Merck right there going into 2.
Holy Christmas, as it looks like Keith Bradley was trying some Ross Chastain moves on the very top side of the racetrack there. Took some racing stripes, trying to get around the 60 of Jeff Merck's not going to work. Oh, Jeff Merck is playing some defense here tonight. You asked me off air which defense to select. Select the defense of Jeff Merck here in tonight's race. He is absolutely shutting the door on everything the 29 is trying.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask him for that for my fantasy football league, honestly, what defense he thinks, because, I mean, he is putting on some defensive moves right here. I mean, he is basically putting his truck in the same spot that the animal Keith Bradley is going to, and every lap Bradley tries to find a different way as he backs away all the way up his tailgate going into 1. Bradley will back away. Now Merck all the way down to the bottom, running right on that yellow line. Bradley trying to get the run right behind him. Bradley has a run as they go into turn number 3, but still Merck running very defensively, if you will, here at Rockingham.
Yeah, and these two drivers have 26 laps to go here to settle it out. These two will keep battling back and forth like an Ali Frazier heavyweight battle at the top of the grid. Here goes Keith Bradley to the inside of Jeff Merck once again. See if he has enough momentum to snag that spot here. Down the backstretch, just could be a pass for the win. Whoever can regain this spot as they're drag racing around 3 and 4 off of 4 to the start finish line. We're still racing for the lead into 1.
The animal Keith Bradley that was the champion last season, and the hot shot rookie, if you will, Jeff Merck, battling it out here at Rockingham with 24 laps to go in this race. Merck able to still get those runs on the top side, but Bradley is not giving it up one bit as Bradley's still down on the bottom. And don't look now, but the Joker, Joey Doucette, running in third with Taylor Peacock right behind him. This race went from a 2-horse race down to a 3-horse race as Joey Doucette, that was Ashley Dodson behind Doucette, but this turned in from a 2-horse race now to a 3-horse race, Will.
And folks, usually we pan through the top 10. We'll give you other positional battles on the racetrack, but right now the battle for the lead is so airtight. We don't want to leave this battle in case something disastrous happens between these two, as it looks like there's almost contact once again into the corner. Jake, these guys have been side by side now for the past 3 or 4 laps into 3 and 4. They remain side by side and can't get any closer for the race lead off of 4.
NASCAR, this is why we need it on the schedule right here. This is the hard racing that we love here at Rockingham. Jeff Merck on the top, Keith Bradley down on the bottom. Merck trying to pinch him down on the yellow line, but Bradley's going to slide up just a little bit. Merck will back up as well. Still side by side, if you will. Bradley is not giving him an inch. Bradley noses out just ahead by a fender, but Merck's going to come back, actually give him a little door going into the start-finish line, side by side, back into 1.
Oh, I love it there, Jake. Just a little bit of tit for tat right there. They just bumped front fenders together. They're going to keep it racing. Just a little, hey, how you doing from one another on the racetrack into 3 and 4. Keith Bradley to the inside. Jeff Merck on the top side of the racetrack. Side by side, these two look like stepbrothers on the racetrack because they are best friends, inseparable here in the last 5 laps.
And Merck is trying everything he can to try to get Bradley to back away, and he finally does it. Pinched him down just enough on the yellow line to where he could finally get clear. But you know Bradley is not going to be too happy about that. Getting pinched down on the yellow line, drives him right up his tailgate. Now, back to the line. 18 laps to go. As we mentioned, Joey Doucette has joined this battle as well. Top 3 drivers basically on your screen here on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network. 18 laps to go as they go into 3.
18 laps to go. Joey Doucette's been watching from afar of this battle. Oh my goodness, that almost gets disastrous once again as the nose of Keith Bradley was right up the back end of the 60 of Jeff Merck here with 17 laps to go. Joey Doucette's right there in the 16 machine. He's watching all of this. If it unfolds, he could be the race winner there in the 3rd spot into 3 and 4. Back to side-by-side racing for the race lead.
Wow, Bradley, we've seen him do some crazy things right there, but that was one thing I don't think I've seen Bradley do with that move right there. Was literally bumping Merck in the corner, got him sideways to get back down to the inside. Merck, all he can do is just run the top and get the run the best that he possibly can and try to pinch Bradley down on that yellow line. As well, Bradley's going to get loose and they're going to go around. Doucette goes around as well. Caution on the Speedway.
As Keith Bradley and Joey Doucette make contact on the racetrack, doesn't look to be any damage to either one of those trucks. It's going to cost them a lot of positions. Wow, Jake, that's going to end a battle between the 60 and the 29 that went on for, I'd have to say, at least 7 or 8 laps, 9 laps maybe. And I think this is just a result of the 16 being right there when this battle is ensuing, and there's really nowhere to go if you're Joey Doucette.
Absolutely, and we're going to see it right here on the instant replay. And folks, believe it or not, I mean, I really don't think there was net code that was involved right there. I think Bradley may have jumped on the brakes a little bit, if you will, right there, because he was afraid that he was going to drive up into Merck. Merck raced him very, very well. I mean, well, what's your take on that?
I think there may have been front fender contact from the 60 onto the 29 when they're in the apex of that corner there. It looked like there may have been just brief contact. You see right there, while they're on the apex, does the 29 make contact with the 60, and that causes sort of that reaction from the 29 to sort of just steer off a little bit. We'll watch it here. If there's any contact made, it's kind of hard to see right there. And I think it's exactly what you were just saying there, Jake. We'll watch it again from a different angle. I think the 29 may have hit the brakes to try to avoid contact with the 60.
That's exactly what I think it was right there. Well, I mean, Merck raced him all the way down to the line, but neither one of them made any contact with all the hard racing that they had. Granted, Bradley jacked him up into 3 and 4, but that was just hard racing to try to get back down to his door. Bradley dove it in there. He slid up. Merck may have came down just a little bit, but Bradley jammed on the brakes because he didn't want to drive up and hit into Merck. Granted, they've been racing their asses off for the past 7-8 laps. Like you said, he does not want to drive up into him and cause any accident, especially try to win the race like that. So he didn't want to drive up into his door, jammed on the brakes. When he jammed on the brakes, Doucette was already there. Both of them get spun around.
Whew. What a finish we got brewing here tonight. Two of the top dogs. No damage in that accident. They're going to be back in the mix here in a few laps. Of course, Jeff Merrick right there as well. But this gives us an opportunity to talk about our new Friday night title sponsor here, Jake. Of course, that's our concern of police survivors. Of course, we're honored and thrilled to announce a partnership between the Concerns of Police Survivors, otherwise known as C.O.P.S organization, and NASRA, North American Sim Racing Association. The C.O.P.S logo will shine bright across the live broadcast as a new title sponsor for this series. Special shout out and thank you has to go out to Mr. Lee Murphy, whose partnership with NASRA was done in dedication to his late father. We invite you to go check out all the wonderful things C.O.P.S does. www.concernsofpolicesurvivors.org. Again, that's concernsofpolicesurvivors.org. And Jake, we couldn't be more honored and more thrilled to have them on board this season. Such a wonderful organization.
Absolutely, and it's like I say, Will, and it seems like I say it every single week, but it is, it is true exactly what I say. I mean, you know me, I say what I mean. Every time, that I'm on here, I call it like I see it, and I 100% call it like I see it with the Concerns of Police Survivors sponsoring, here in NASRA for the Friday Night Truck Series. And I'm 100% behind everything that organization does. I'm 100% behind our men in blue that, granted, Will, I mean, they keep us safe just like our military keeps us safe as well. So I'm 100%, like I say every week, behind an organization that does so much for the families of fallen police officers.
Absolutely. As we get things rocking and rolling here once again from Rockingham, it's going to be Robbie Richards, our new race leader, with 11 laps to go here in the Millie's Restaurant Catering 200. Taylor Peacock is sideways, though. He's sideways. He is hitting trucks. Caution flag is out. I saw that happening live as we were coming off the corner. Taylor Peacock absolutely sideways on the corner.
Wow, I mean, they're just that quick right there. I mean, Peacock just straight up loses it right there going into turn one. A couple of guys getting involved, and matter of fact, to be honest with you, Will, there was another driver that was involved in this. It was Jeff Merck, all the way down on the bottom of the racetrack, gets loose, smacks the inside retaining wall, was straddling the yellow line. Head on into the wall goes Jeff Merck, so his night may be over with.
Wow, Jake, what a race we have on our hands. Right there, Jeff Merck takes a nosedive into the inside wall. We didn't really see that happening because we were watching Taylor Peacock back here. And the Jeff Merck incident's going to happen actually ahead of this Taylor Peacock incident. I'm looking at our grid right now. With the likes of Joey Doucette up there in second, This top 10 looks like a whole new board to me, Jake. You know, you're looking at Jose Luis Rivera, Justin White, Jacob Klainkart, Huck Whittington, and that double zero is up there. Dana Shepard, Keith Bradley still in the mix, sort of right there in 8th. Justin Lumpkin, Kyle Hess is currently in 10th. So we're going to have maybe, 8, 9 laps to go. And a few of these guys inside the top 5 not only don't have any wins on the season, they don't have any wins in a long time in Nazareth.
And that's going to make the aggression seriously pick up right there. You mentioned that they haven't had any wins, in a while. And, well, as a driver myself, that drives you insane, because if you're not able to get a win sooner or later, it makes you doubt yourself. It makes you even more hungrier. It makes you, when you win races, it makes you cherish them even more. So some of these guys that haven't had a win in a long time, they're going to be really driving as hard as they possibly can right here for these last couple of laps right here. See if we can get them locked into the playoffs right here. Robbie Richards going to be leading them right here with Doucette, Jose Luis Rivera, Justin White. Big move for him. Started this race 21st, which was very uncharacteristic for him, Will, being in the 21st, or qualifying 21st, but now he's up here in familiar territory, up here in 4th, with Klainkart in 5th. And you mentioned Huck Wigington. Big move for him, because this could be a breakout race right here for Huck Wigington right now. He's sitting 6th.
Absolutely, and he saw his teammate Jason Morales kick off this series by winning the first race of the season in the Concerns of Police Survivor sponsored car, and Huck Whittington actually drives a Concerned of Police Survivors truck as well. So what a way that would be to not only honor the title sponsor, but get a victory on the season. And folks, as we creep up towards the end of this race, we got some homework for you to do at home. We invite you to go check out Flieger Farm Paint Shop. That's our Hard Luck Award winner sponsor. Do you want a personal experience designing your race car? Or would you like to take the stress out of figuring out who can do the best work? Well, contact Adam at Flieger Farm Paint Shop, starting in 2020. And folks, this is the big thing here. First wraps are free. I don't know any painters out there that are giving you your first paint scheme for free. Go contact him today at Flieger Farm Paints on Facebook. Ask about that free paint scheme. Again, that's Adam at Flieger Farm Paints today, Jake. And I don't do a lot of iRacing myself, but to get that first paint scheme for free, that's quite the hookup.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of guys that have out here tried to do paint jobs. I've tried to do one myself. And obviously you've seen my truck. It's just solid black with logos on it. So, I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, absolutely. Go to Flieger Farm Paint Shop. Get you a paint scheme. He will hook you up. I've seen some of the work Adam's done. He does an outstanding job. Some of the drivers that is in this series right now, as we are green once again with 6 laps to go. Robbie Richards has the lead. The Joker, Joey Doucette, trying to see if he can lap his way all the way to the bank here at Rockingham. But he's going to have to deal with Jose Luis Rivera. He goes high, he goes low, jumps back down to the bottom. Doucette goes down there as well as Riviera jumps up to the top, trying to get the run as they're all right behind Robbie Richards going into 1.
Yeah, you watch this battle for second rage on. Robbie Richards is in a comfortable spot, though, in that 48 machine with 5 laps to go. Oh, my goodness, as there was almost contact there between the 16 and the 20 of Jose Luis Rivera, who will creep up now to the back bumper of Robbie Richards as caution is out with 5 laps to go, folks. That will give us a green-white checker.
Green, white, checkered, and honestly, I may have saw this coming just a little bit with some of the aggression that these drivers was picking up, if you will, here at Rockingham. And wow, I mean, big time moves right there on the back stretch. That's where all of this happened right there. You see Adam Newton, I believe he was one of the drivers that was involved in this accident. And Adam Newton, we've seen the hard luck that he has had this evening, getting caught up in some of these accidents, as you're going to see it right here. Wow, Netcode bites another one, if you will. Michael McKinnon, he slides down just ever so slightly, and you're going to see how hard this net code is. Michael McKinnon, the last one in line, Newton on the bottom. Check it out,
Mm.
folks. I mean, wow. I mean, net code, that is some hard net code right there.
And that's just tough to describe as a commentator up here in the booth. That's tough to describe as a driver. For both drivers, Michael McKinnon, Adam Newton, promising nights to start. Jake, the nights went south. I think just over the course of the race, it just kind of got worse and worse and worse for both drivers. And now they find themselves caught up in a late race caution. And for the 13 of Michael McKinnon, definitely still in contention for that hard luck award winner. But I really feel like, though, Jake, for the 13 of Michael McKinnon, he's got a little roll going on here lately. He's got a lot of top 5 qualifying spots. He runs inside the top 5, top 10 the majority of these races. So I feel like here soon we're going to see this 13 in victory lane.
Absolutely. I mean, and we've had Michael McKinnon here in the broadcast booth with us here on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network. And, Michael's just one of those guys that, I mean, he's a fan favorite out of everybody. I mean, honestly, nobody can really say anything bad about Michael because he's a likable guy. He calls it like it is, basically like me. He's got that southern lingo about like I do as well. So, I mean, that's awesome for that. But, yeah, I mean, Michael's on a good run right here, as you mentioned, with those runs. So, granted, it is Rockingham. He sat on the pole, and I'm sure he had high hopes going into tonight's race. But I mean, that's just how it falls sometimes. I mean, sometimes you're the bat, sometimes you're the ball, and that's just how it is. Tonight he was the ball, but going into into next week, I mean, he can't let this race let him down because next week, whole another animal next week when we come to Friday nights.
Absolutely. And looking at some of these drivers that are currently inside the top 5, you look at Justin White, no wins on the season. Joey Doucette has 1 win on the season. You slide down through that just a little bit more. We talked about Michael McKinnon, no wins on the season. Look at Robbie Richards, no wins on the season for him either. Jose Luis Rivera, no wins. So a lot of these guys currently inside the top 5 are all racing for their very first wins of the season. As mentioned coming into this broadcast, the only multi-time winner we have is Keith Bradley in that 29, and he's quietly crept up to 6th after all those issues he's had in this race, Jake.
Absolutely, and he's got a very good shot to slide up there and possibly get a hold of a win here tonight, but we'll see what happens right here. As some of these guys, they're hungry. The animal's hungry, but these guys right here, I just got a feeling, Will. Robbie Richards, Jose Luis Rivera, Justin White, those guys that haven't had a win this season, they want to be able to punch their ticket into the C.O.P.S Truck Series playoffs. Here we go. Pace truck is off. Green, white, checkered attempt number 1. Green flag in the air. Robbie Richards stands on the gas, gets a great jump at the front. He will lead them into turn 1. Doucette down on the bottom. Riviera up top. Big time battling going on as Robbie Richards has to fight them off right here for 2 more laps.
As Robbie Richards is under fire from Jose Luis Rivera on the top side of the racetrack, he had that nose right on that back fender. See how tight it is? There's contact. They wreck coming off of 4. All the leaders involved, except for the animal Keith Bradley, as he takes the white flag into 1 and 2 down the backstretch. The animal leads the way here, now into 3 and 4. No caution flag on the racetrack as the animal looks as though he'll eat another checkered flag as Keith Bradley, the animal, the 29, takes the checkered flag in the Millie's Restaurant and Catering 200. What a win.
Wow, I am 100% speechless right here with this one, Will. I mean, literally, we've seen what happened with Keith Bradley last week with Blake Lothian at the Daytona Road Course. Had to start at the back, got an EOL, could not qualify, started 25th on the day. And, well, as bad as I gotta say it, luck fell into his lap. Literally, luck falling into his lap. and the animal Keith Bradley gets the win here tonight at Rockingham.
Wow, as the 29 is obviously going to burn it down here on the front stretch of the Rock. We're definitely going to have to check out a replay of that last lap, but I mean, all credit is due to the 29 of Keith Bradley. Stayed in the fight the entire race, got knocked around a few times, chewed up, spit out. You see the racing stripes on the side of that 29. You saw him right there in the 5th position to restart that, Jake, and he just finds, like you said, lady luck once again, and it's just that strategy that he has to lay low and then pounce at the end.
Yeah, I mean, Lady Luck, she shows up over there on the West Coast. Well, I tell you what, she showed up on the East Coast here tonight for the animal Keith Bradley, straight up burning it down. He ain't got to worry about those tires anymore here this evening, burning it down, if you will. So, the animal Keith Bradley, as you mentioned earlier, the multi-winner or the multi-time winner
3
this
times now.
season, now 3 times, and he's going to park it right smack dab in victory lane.
And folks, before we get to those top 3 finishers and the official results there, we have to check out that last lap, Jake. So many things played out, so many drivers involved here towards the end. But watch it, that was coming off a forward to the white flag. If we get a little bit more of a wide shot there from the booth, I want to see what kind of started just the domino effect there of just driver after driver. It looked like one driver set it off there, Jake, and just everyone followed.
Absolutely, and the one driver that set it off, I hate to call him out on it, but it was Robbie Richards. Jose Luis Rivera, he jumped up to the top, got the run, and was able to, and was going to get to the right rear. Actually, got to the
Oh, is he
right rear.
loose?
Granted, there was a little bit of net code that was involved. If we can get a better angle, we'll show that there was a little bit of net code. But Robbie Richards was coming up to the top. I'm not real sure, honestly, Will, if he got loose right there on the bottom. He was coming up the
Oh,
track to try to block Jose Luis Rivera. Rivera hooks him straight into the fence. Justin White gets involved. Jacob Klinkart gets involved as well. Bunch of drivers that had a great shot at trying to possibly get a top 5 tonight. Even Joey Doucette, one of those drivers that gets caught up in all of this. But I mean, that was
mm.
a block that was trying to be made, and it just wasn't clear. He wasn't clear to make that block. But you come into the white flag. Well, I've said it before. I'll say it again. Aggression sets in. These guys, they haven't won a race this season. They want to win. It
Oh,
happens.
it's tough to see if the 48's loose there, but it definitely does look like an iRacing incident there, a little bit of that net code. And you see it right here, like a 4-5 split in bowling, where you get multiple pins for one throw, and that's exactly what happens there. Robbie Richards collects 3 drivers with that incident there, and the lucky guy out of all of that is Keith Bradley, who was in the pack of drivers with these guys, but somehow stayed so far wide of the accident, he came out unscathed and virtually had no competition to the checkered flag.
Yeah, it's because, the closest competition that he had was obviously Dana Shepard, who was back there in the back. I mean, literally the top 5 drivers literally get caught up in this. You're going to see Bradley, just perfect timing for him. Wow. I mean, that's some serious luck right there, because if Richards would have came down just that split second later than when he did, Bradley would have got caught up into that, and then Dana Shepard would have took that bad boy to victory lane here tonight. I mean, I'm telling you, if he hasn't already got a lottery ticket lined up for tomorrow night, he needs to go buy one, because I'm telling you, Bradley, nothing taken away from him. He was in the fight all night, but right there, missing all of that, coming to the white flag, he got lucky on that one.
And we talk about that old school style of racing. I almost have to think to myself that he's fist bumping after clearing that accident down the backstretch around into 3 and 4, probably just so ecstatic in the cockpit of that 29 machine. And And folks, let's not waste any time. Let's get right to it. Let's talk to the winner of the Millie's and Restaurant and Catering 200. We talked about the luck that was on his side, but for the animal, 3 checkered flags on this season. He'll say it's skill, we'll say it's luck, but we know one thing. The winner here tonight is Keith Bradley. And Keith, how nervous were you there on that final lap?
I wasn't really nervous. Heck, I didn't even know they were crashing until I crossed the line and I looked up and was like, "Oh, I'm leading." So something must have happened. I had no clue that Robbie got wrecked or what even happened. I'm more surprised and happy that I was able to recover after what happened between me and Merck. And hey, that was some good hard racing.
Yeah, absolutely. That battle between you and Merck that went on for almost 8, 9, 10 laps, maybe just side by side, back and forth. And we kind of looked at the replay there. The 16 being low side, I think, was just kind of friendly fire of what you and the 60 had going on. And Keith, I actually wanted to talk about early on in this race. You kind of faced a lot of adversity, a lot of challenges to even get back up there with the 60.
Yeah, we served a penalty from last week, which apologize to Blake Lothian for that. But anyway, yeah, we started in the back and we slowly worked our way to the front. I was being pretty patient, saving some tires just till I can make a good push to try to get some stage points. And then I think we ended up getting turned in the first stage and then went all the way back to the back again and did the same thing. Just stayed patient, waited till truck single filed out to where I could run my line and pick them off one by one, if not two by two. And it just seemed like the longer the runs went, the faster my truck got on old tires, which was really good. And we showed a lot of speed. We might not have led a lot of laps, but I think Jeff Merck knew we were pretty fast tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I was just about to touch on that, Keith. You have 3 wins on the season. What does it win? Because I think Jake mentioned it during the broadcast. This is not a track that the NASCAR series comes to anymore, Truck Series, really anybody comes to anymore. What is this, your 3rd win of the season? What does this mean to you here tonight?
It means a lot. I mean, it just now we can play around with strategy and do things that I don't normally do, and try to rack up stage points and make up some points that we were lost from the penalty that we received after the Daytona road course, and just try to soften that blow a little bit and try to make the boss man happy by either getting wins or being consistent and keeping the points league, because I'm chasing that regular season championship if I can. If not, I just want some stage points on my side going forward. And hey, it's always a good feeling when you win at the end.
Absolutely. The animal here tonight, he eats up the competition in the Millie's and Restaurant and Catering 200. Keith, before we let you go, my man, you're kind of used to this now at this point. 3 wins on the season here on Friday night. Anybody you wanted to shout out or anybody that you wanted to thank for putting you in victory lane?
Oh yeah, all the sponsors, Nazar Racing Network 360, Pulse Poppers, Warrior Wraps, Blanchard's Towing, concerned of police survivors. They jumped on board as the primary sponsor of the Friday night series, which we all appreciate. My personal sponsor, Indy Race Parts, all the guys at Mission One, Ashley, Joey, Robbie. I think we're all starting to slowly put some good, consistent races together with each other, and everybody at Nazra, Brady for putting this on. You guys up in the booth, you guys busting your tails every dang near every night for everybody within Nazra, and all the guys that show up on Friday nights. It keeps it pretty much clean and puts on exciting races like we had tonight.
Well, Keith, as I mentioned, this is your 3rd win of the season. The 29 is on a roll, folks, here on these Friday nights. You heard about everything he had to face here tonight. Still came out with the victory at the end. Big congratulations to you, Keith, here from us at the Nazareth 360 Racing Network. Cannot wait to see you again in that 29 machine next weekend as we head to the high banks of Talladega. We appreciate you taking the time with us here, my man. Congrats on the win and go celebrate.
Thanks, you guys. Have a good weekend.
Yes, sir. That was Keith Bradley, the race winner of the Millie's and Restaurant Catering 200 here tonight. The animal picks up his 3rd win of the season. But folks, without further ado, it is time to catch up with our second place finisher, Dana Shepard in that 45, Jake, who has probably one of his best finishes in a long time.
Absolutely. Dana Shepard, this is Jake Reeves. You got a copy, buddy?
Yeah, Jake, I got you. How are you guys?
We're doing good, bud, and looks like you're doing pretty good too. Coming home second tonight, and we'll touch base on Keith Bradley overcoming some adversity tonight. Dana, you actually overcome some adversity tonight. Tell us about that, bud.
Yeah, I'd say I had a pretty extreme up and down night here. I was, I had an EO at one point for something I really don't think I was, at fault for, but I had to go to the back, and it seemed like every time I worked forward, I would get tangled up into something, and I had to use some unusual strategies to just pick my way through. So it was a tough night.
It was a tough night, bud, but you still got second. And, coming in with this right here, actually getting second, this has got to 100% build some momentum for you going into the next week, which next week, I guess you could say that's probably one of the hardest races that y'all are going to run at least all season, at least until the end of the regular season. And it's at Talladega. Granted, it's easy just to flat foot it, but with the mentality, I guess the question that I'm wanting to ask is the mentality that you got to have here at Rockingham to be able to uh, think straight and drive straight and everything else. It's mentally exhausting. Now you're fixing to go to Talladega next week. That's going to be 100% straight up mentally exhausting. How do you prepare for something like that?
Well, I think a lot of it's just being, aware of your surroundings, knowing who you're pushing, who's pushing you. And, unlike here where you're sort of running on your own, you have to find your marks in order to drive the car. There's a lot more driving to it as well as mental. Talladega is really just pure mental. You got to think ahead, make a good plan, not get hung out, have teammates to really work with you.
And have a little luck on your side as well, Dana. And I've been there. I've been in those situations before. But Dana Shepard getting second tonight in that number 45 entry. Dana, before we let you go, is there anybody that you want to thank that made this possible tonight?
Oh yeah. Well, I got to thank the team, Jose and Jacob for really helping working with me. And we got, Dittmer comes in and gives us advice a lot last season, particularly. And we got DEP who provides all these great paints for us as a team, and huge supporter. I really help him as much as I can. And to my family who like to watch on the broadcast and support me, makes me feel like people are really watching what I'm doing. And, got to thank C.O.P.S as an officer myself. I know where that organization comes from and what people deal with every day. So I've got to thank them for really supporting the league and helping us put this on.
Absolutely. Well, Dana, thank you very much for your service, and appreciate you putting on a show tonight here at Rockingham, getting second. Bud, we'll see you at Talladega next week.
Yeah, let's hope I'm one more spot up.
We'll be waiting for it, bud. We'll be waiting for it. And that was Dana Shepard coming home second tonight here at Rockingham. And third place driver that we didn't talk about a whole lot tonight, Will, that's Justin Lumpkin. Put in some great runs. Have you caught up with Justin?
Yeah, I'm catching up with Justin Lumpkin right now, the driver of that 18 machine. And Justin, we talked about it actually during the broadcast and off air. We looked at those power rankings. We're like, oh, the 18 machine, he's in the top 5 of the power rankings. Started looking at your stats. But here in tonight's race, you definitely made it clear why you're ranked inside the top 5. I don't think you really faltered too much outside of the top 5. There wasn't any damage to that 18 machine as well. Let's talk about that run, how you're able to avoid all the chaos in tonight's race.
A lot of luck. I know I got into the race kind of late as far as the session and didn't get no practice laps except for what I could during the qualifying session. So I was just going to try to take it easy that first stage. Maybe if I could get a few stage points, that'd be awesome, but I didn't. We kept the truck clean. I know there was a big wreck on the back stretch, and somehow we made it through it with a 0X and no damage. But so second stage, we were able to pick up a few stage points and started getting more comfortable on the track, getting the line down, and just getting comfortable all together. And we started making some runs. And then the last stage, we pulled some strategy to try to undercut everybody. It worked for a little bit. I know Kyle was probably about 2 seconds behind me whenever we were coming around before that last caution with Keith and Merck and Doucette, I think. But we was a lucky dog there, and then we had those green white checkers, and just everything fell our way tonight, man. It's just a war of attrition and being there whenever you need to be.
Absolutely. We talked about you being one of those drivers too that are in those playoff standings that are really creeping up everything. That has some momentum on the back end of your runs here, Justin. When do you start to see that 18 getting into victory lane? Does that happen next week at Talladega?
I mean, anybody can win at Talladega. It's Dega. It's up for grabs for anybody. Whoever's there at the end has a chance. I mean, we've won here in Nazareth before at Talladega twice, but we'll see what we can do. As far as victory lane, I want to win. I always want to win, but this has been, as far as consistency, this has probably been the best season I've had in a few seasons now. I got 5 top 5s, 5 top 10s, and just staying strong. I had some electrical equipment at Kansas. I was running 5th, and my screen went black, so that put me last. I had the mess up at New Hampshire where I spun out with 2 to go. We've just been running really, really strong, and we just hope to continue it through the season.
Absolutely. And if you look at the truck here on the screen of the Nazareth 360 Racing Network, you'll see why, even though in the 3rd position, his truck is so crispy clean, he could probably put it on the truck and race it again next week. Doesn't look like any damage throughout everything in tonight's race, which is my hats off to you, Justin, keeping that thing clean. Most of the guys inside the top 5 had those racing stripes or beat-in back bumpers, not the 18 machine. But as we have you on the podium, Justin, anybody you'd like to thank or anybody you want to shout out that helps this 18 get those podium finishes?
Of course, and I want to say, main thing I used to always think is I used to thank God every time, and I got away from that. I need to get back into thanking God, because without Him, we're not doing any of this. And it's just, I need to get back into thanking Him. But as far as sponsors, I need to thank Millie's Restaurant and Catering, A's Lawn and Landscaping, DSR Electric, Jersey Smoke Shops, The Family Handyman, Darren's Nail Gun Repair, and Ladanco. I thank my mom and dad for always watching, my girlfriend Kara. They're always supporting, her family's always supporting, and all the fans out here watching. And then you got to thank C.O.P.S for coming on board this year and being a great support. And then Nazareth, Brady, and then you guys here at Nazareth 360, man, y'all do a great job.
Well, we appreciate with shows that you drivers put on, makes our job easy up here in the booth. But Justin, 3rd place here tonight, as you said, victory lane is right around the corner for that 18. But great job on that podium finish here tonight. We look forward to seeing you next week here in the Concerns of Police Survivors Truck Series.
Thank you, sir.
That was Justin Lumpkin, our 3rd place finisher, Jake. And let's get right to it. Let's check out those official results here in the Millie's Restaurant and Catering 200. Of course, we just talked to our podium finishers with the likes of Keith Bradley, who takes home the checkered flag. Dana Shepard, with his highest finish in a long time, finishes in 2nd. Justin Lumpkin in 3rd. Stephen Thomas will come home 4th. Justin White 5th. Good comeback from that 2 machine. Kyle Hess in the 86 will come home 6th. Phil Pappas will come home 7th. Jeff Merck will finish 8th. Zach Hartwick 9th. And Huck Whittington, that 00, will get a top 10 here tonight.
Absolutely. And Taylor Peacock will get 11th with Cody Knott in 12th. Raul Meza in 13th. Robbie Richards, who was leading coming to the white flag, gets caught up in all that accident or all that action off of turn number 4. He will get 14th. Jeffrey Sickles 15th. Jacob Klinkart will be 16th. The Joker Joey Doucette in 17th. Jose Luis Rivera 18th. Christopher Blanchard will be 19th, and Ed Osborne rounds out the top 20.
Yeah, unfortunately for some of these guys I'm about to name off, they were having really good nights, and their nights just went south quick. We're looking at the likes of Michael McKinnon, who's going to finish 21st, although he's going to have the fastest lap of the race at a 23.8. The likes of Adam Newton, who's going to finish 22nd down there. Ashley Dodson ran very good at the road course last week. He's going to finish 23rd here tonight. Brandon Bullock in the 17, 24th. Adam Johnson 25th. Chris Cinnamon in that 3 with a 26th position finish here tonight. And Hunter Parsons in that 25 will come home 27th. And Jake, that's going to do it for another week here in the Concerns of Police Survivors Truck Series. Any final thoughts about what was an incredible race? I know folks are saying they don't like to see the endings like that where the leaders all get caught up, but I think that just goes to show the style of racing we have every week here.
Absolutely. I mean, it's every week. I mean, it's what will you do to get a win? What will you do to lock yourself into the playoffs? Because that's the main goal for every single one of these drivers every single week is to win a race, get locked into the playoffs, pad their points as much as they possibly can, and be there at the end of the season when it all really matters. I mean, these wins, honestly, Will, these wins, they mean a lot, but that championship means a whole lot more when you're able to get your name called and say that you are the C.O.P.S Truck Series champion. So, yeah, I mean, it gets crazy every single week. We see those crazy finishes. And, well, going into the next week, as I've mentioned a couple of times in the broadcast, it's going to get even crazier because then we're going to Talladega, the 2.66 mile monster that just straight up snacks on trucks, cars, whatever. It's going to be outrageous next week. So, folks, I'm telling you, tune in next Friday night. You do not want to miss it. It'll be Talladega with a C.O.P.S Truck Series next Friday.
Going to sweet home Talladega next week here in the Concerns of Police Survivors Truck Series, but couldn't close out the night without thanking our wonderful sponsors here on this Friday night. That includes Flieger Farm Paint Shop for being our Hard Luck Award winner. Of course, Concerns of Police Survivors. Go check them out at concernsof policesurvivors.org. Right there. And then we look at Flieger Farm Paint Shop. Again, folks, your first paint scheme is free. Go check them out at Flieger Farm Paint Shop and contact Adam for your free paint scheme today. Also, we have to shout out Millie's Restaurant and Catering for being our race sponsor here tonight, conveniently located in Daytona Beach with locally sourced seafood. You can't go wrong there. Go check them out on Facebook. They have their own website, milliesrestaurant.com. Go see what wonderful options they have there tonight. But folks, that's going to do it for us here on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network. We want to thank you for tuning in to the Millie's Restaurant and Catering 200 presented by Nazareth. Congratulations to the animal Keith Bradley for getting another victory. Next week, as my colleague alluded to, we're heading to sweet home Talladega in the high banks here in the Concerns of Police Survivors Truck Series. For myself, William Tiller, Mr. Jake Reeves, and Adam Flieger, our wonderful producer, providing all the sights and sounds here tonight. Again, we want to thank you for tuning in, and we want to invite you back next week on Friday night or to Monday night, where the SimRacerHub.com Truck Series playoffs begin, or join us here at Talladega at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for more exciting iRacing action. This has been a Nazareth 360 Racing Network production. Have a great night, everybody, and enjoy your weekend.